All right, we're finally live. Apologies for the delay. There has been a couple of technical glitches, to say the least, and really sorry. Thoda 5 minute late ho gaye hum. We're also probably processing everything that we saw happen at the auction a couple of hours ago, and then of course the first T20 between India and West Indies, that's also begun. So thoda wo bhi dekh rahe the, to un sab ke chakkar mein we did get slightly delayed. But Neha, how are we today? Udupi se Seedha Bangalore. How's the journey been? And excited for the episode today.
Yeah, Akshay, I mean, absolutely excited for today's discussion because there's just so much to unpack in the week that has passed by. I think it's just as onlookers of the women's game, there's so much happening. As an Indian fan, there is so much we need to unpack. So yeah, just absolutely looking forward to that and ready to push off all the travel tiredness, so to say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for what it's worth, thoda context set kar denge. Neha's traveled what 8 hours, 10 hours in the morning today. Seedha, like you can say, Seedha Udupi se studio mein aayi hai. So let's hope, of course, the fatigue does not set in early enough. But we will, of course, keep taking those comments for our technical glitches ki wajah se. I might be looking here, looking there, looking everywhere. Apologies in advance. WPL auction done, Neha. Lot of interesting purchases, a couple of surprises, a couple of steals, so to say. At least that's what social media has been raving about. Kahan se shuru karna hai tum batao? Before we get into the teams and the nitty-gritties, overall, what did you make of the auction? Went in line with what you had as per your expectations?
Honestly, yes. I mean, it was a like mini auction, so it's not like the teams also had a lot of purse money to kind of spend, but there are still teams, that are left with a lot of purse money and didn't really.
UP, we're looking at you. We're looking at
you.
Yeah.
But either case, I think some great purchases. Kind of sad to see some names not going to any team. But then G Kamlini getting picked up at just 16 for like 1.6 crores.
Yeah, and good on you for talking about her last week. I mean, I remember how much you've been talking about her on air and off of it as well. So yeah.
So a lot of great picks like that. This is the one time I feel, if WPL actually had more teams, we'd have more people getting picked. It's really unfortunate that some players aren't a part, but still good to see that domestic performances have been rewarded and there is some semblance of sense in the picks. But let's see how it carries on.
Yeah, we'll definitely be seeing that. And Uma Chhetri, of course, good to see her also score back-to-back boundaries. Sorry guys, not to watch along. Thoda wo bhi hum dekh rahe saath mein, because why not? Match chal raha hai. We will try and take as many comments as possible. Producers, do let us know agar aap dekh rahe ho ki nahi. Nahi to we'll of course start off with the first comment. Sold to, last chance, fair warning, all done and through. Last chance again, once, twice, and sold. Maybe just like Malika Sagar, we've taken a leave out of her book to be fashionably late, if that makes any sense. Because it did not really, pinch us that much in terms of her taking a lot of time. There were only 19 slots to fill, so she had her time. In fact, बीच में ऐसा लगा 1 घंटे के auction में 1.5 घंटे का break लगा दिया इन लोगों ने. So
and so many rounds of accelerated auction as well, right? Like teams submitting 5 names, 2 names, and then teams just being like, "How we'll just purchase." Yeah, it was crazy actually.
Absolutely bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in any auction before, at least in any of these Indian auctions since IPL 2008. Har baar accelerated round is a part of every auction. But this was the first time
teams just going like, "Hi, I want to take this."
Yeah,
and no one else competing.
Exactly. So at the end, at the final, before the final accelerated round, Malika Sagar was like, "Teams, you guys can go re-strategize and come in." 4 out of the 5 teams are like, "Boss,
हमारा तो हो गया."
Exactly. 18 में से 18 तो हमने pick कर लिया और क्या slot नहीं बचा है. तो फिर you're like, "Okay, Gujarat Giants, you've got 2 options. तुम 2 नाम दे दो, हम लोग डाल देंगे." So no contenders. They had.
The luxury to go after
exactly.
any player they wanted.
Yeah, the world was their oyster, and they chose to go after Daniel Gibson. We'll of course talk about that and much more going forward. Let's take a few comments, of course. Yeah, producers, let's just keep having the comments. हम यहाँ पे देखेंगे, थोड़ा उधर भी देखेंगे. Once again, just to be clear, it's not that we are distracted. थोड़ा अपना आज डामाडोल in terms of the technical glitches. Exactly, we've somehow figured that out. But Neha, again, in terms of what we saw at the auction, of course. There was Leandra Doughton going for 1.7 crores. We knew that she will be getting big money. What did you make of Gujarat Giants going after her, and not only going after her, actually getting her? Because after everything that's gone down, between them 2 years ago, do you think that's water under the bridge now? Do you think there'll still be some remnants of what happened back then?
No, honestly, I think it's just water under the bridge because both the parties in question are very professional, right? I know I sound like a lawyer when I say that, but then I think in all fairness, I think Akshay, we were also having this chat off air, right? That the management has kind of changed since the last time all of those
That's
incidents happened. And now you see Gujarat with, Praveen Tambe, you have
Michael Klinger, Daniel Marsh.
Daniel Marsh, and a lot of them, who are coming in. So in that sense, I'm hoping that, they yeah,
That's tough. Yeah.
it's not a watch enough.
Yeah.
So they've let the bygones be bygones and just start this fresh chapter. Also, we were talking now about how she had a very calm reaction on getting selected. Haley Matthews seemed more excited
exactly.
for her, but the WPL is the league to be at, and seeing the world boss, no, Universe boss.
World boss.
World boss. Yeah. Seeing the world boss here is, I think, something that's going to please a lot of fans. And adds a lot of firepower to the Gujarat setup as well, right? I mean, for long, they've seen players kind of, just occupy their time at the crease and not give them those starts. And I think even Michael Klinger in his, like that part where, not presentation, like I think broadcasters was asking him questions and he was emphasizing on strike rates, intent and batting firepower. So yeah, clearly their purchases signal that direction. But again, what do you think it means to the composition of that overseas players?
Yep, we'll definitely get into those specifics as well going forward, and agree with you, Michael Klinger, in that sort of part interview, part conversation post the Deandra pick, spoke about how they were looking to add firepower in the middle order, and he was impressed, of course, with
better choice. Right?
Exactly, Deandra is definitely one of the best in the business, and easily the best amongst whatever was available in this auction. And given how she performed for the Renegades as well, something we've spoken about earlier. So Klinger spoke about it. We saw what she did in Australia, exactly. And World Cup maybe dekha tha humne. So she's definitely in red hot form, and Gujarat will be hoping that she carries that form in to the next WPL. But of course, on that note, let us start with our WPL auction review. We'll talk about each of the teams. Last time around, we of course went with RCB first. This time we thought let's change it up a bit. Thoda ulta order mein chalte apan log. Let's start with Gujarat Giants first. Of course, they had the highest purse. They had a lot of money to spend, and importantly and understandably, they made some of the big purchases. Let's have the squad graphic out first. There we go. Yes. In terms of the players that they had purchased, of course, 4 of them, they had 4 slots available. Deandra Doughton, Simran Sheikh, Daniel Gibson, Prakash Naik. These were the 4 buys, amongst which 2 of them costed them 1.9 crores and 1.7. थोड़ा हमने Deandra Doughton के बारे में बात कर लिया. Let's talk about Simran Sheikh, the most expensive domestic player, the most expensive player, in fact, in this auction. That was definitely a name no one expected.
Yeah, definitely did not see that coming. I think just looking at her domestic performances as well, she's been an integral cog in that Mumbai deal. They've won 2 consecutive senior women's T20 trophies. So in that sense, she has contributed. But again, I really didn't think she would go for that, big bucks. Again, she's an all-rounder, right? Brings in that sort of a variety as well. So probably Gujarat wanted that sort of a thing, but they already have someone like a Kashmi Gautam as well. So I'm not sure how they're going to figure out the balance. And again, Simran is a little unheralded, right? We've seen a little bit of her in domestic, but then again, at this stage, to be able to deliver with that price tag pressure is an entirely different challenge in itself. But at least what we've seen of her, the very little we've seen of her, thank you BCCI for not streaming domestic matches, is definitely looking quite positive. But again, I'm really hoping that she has a good season coming.
Yeah, those were actually a couple of interesting points. Firstly, of course, she's been a very important part of that Mumbai team. Mumbai, of course, also won the senior women's T20 trophy this time around.
2 times.
The captain went unsold. Yeah, but he hai, jo bhi hai, we will talk about that as well. In terms of Simran Sheikh and what she has to offer, of course, she's a pace bowling all-rounder and also offers a lot of value with the bat, given her intent. But yeah, UP Warriors के लिए उन्होंने अपना पहला season खेला था.
In fact, very average.
Exactly, average. Also, you're being very polite. That 29 runs in 7 innings.
With I wish strike rate of like 6.
Exactly, and more than the runs itself. Again, I'm personally, for me, the way I look at cricket, when I look at players, for me it's all about whether they pass my eye test. Not that I'm very, मतलब मेरे पास बहुत अच्छा वाला है, but जो भी है, मेरे को अच्छा लगता है क्या मैं वो देखता है. In all fairness, she didn't seem exactly. She didn't seem to be at the level that she has to be at to be able to play WPL or to be able to succeed at WPL.
Like a rough diamond.
Exactly, and this was 2 years ago, so I'll hold my thoughts. I haven't seen anything of her since then because, like you said, thank you BCCI thank you for not screaming because that
Sorry
makes
for
it.
being salty, but that's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. थोड़ा हम भी वो अली साहिली की तरह एक फोटो डाल के हम भी डाल देंगे
Salty, yeah.
salty
And I'll
करके.
get banned by them, sure.
Yeah, yeah. नहीं तो फिल सॉल्ट का डाल देंगे तो उन्हें लगेगा हम आरसीबी सपोर्टर्स है तो टेंशन की बात नहीं है.
Yeah.
But yeah, so given that I haven't seen a lot of her, I will hold my thoughts. But I will have to admit back then, so she looked very underwhelming. So let's hope that she probably has come good now. All these teams have also conducted their trials.
And a lot of research has gone in the
Exactly.
scouting side of things. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not कि बॉस इन्होंने ऐसे ही नंबर देखे हमारी जैसे नहीं कि एक दो नंबर देख लिया अच्छा इसका स्ट्राइक रेट अच्छा उठा के लाते हैं वैसा नहीं होता. So let's give them their credit as well. They must have done their due diligence. And more than anything, sure, Gujarat Giants of Philby might have to take it with a pinch of salt. The fact that Delhi Capitals themselves were the losing bidders went up to 1.8 crores for her.
Almost,
Exactly. And Ananya Upendra, exactly, in her we trust. मतलब थोड़ा बोल सकते हैं given that she has been someone who avidly follows women's cricket, covers women's cricket.
She's been a player herself. She's played with a lot of them.
Exactly.
And knows them up close and personal. So,
Exactly. Which is why I would still sort of, like we said earlier, we'll hold on to our thoughts. But I do agree with you in terms of that middle order, given they already had someone in the similar mold or similarish mold in Kashvi Gautam, we'll now have to see how does it work out for them, because we all seriously thought that they will go for an overseas pacer, gun overseas pacer. Lauren Cheadle went unsold. Lauren Filer, Aini, Kim Garth went unsold.
Darcy Brown also.
Exactly.
Very surprising, honestly. Yeah.
So in that sense, काफी सारे अच्छे नाम बुरे नाम मतलब जो भी बोलना है बोल लो नहीं इन्होंने लिए. So देखते हैं कि they've clearly backed these options. 1.9 crores is a hell of a lot of money. That's more than 1/3 of your purse spent on a domestic player. So clearly they knew that they wanted her
at any cost. Yeah.
Exactly, at any cost. So देखते हैं कि क्या होता है वहाँ पे. Let's take a few comments as well. In the meantime, comments. Let's have the graphic out as well. In the meantime, sorry. The other two players, of course, Daniel Gibson, Prakash Akanayak. Yeah, Daniel Gibson again. We spoke about how Gujarat would be a side that will be wanting to bring in pace bowlers, preferably gun pacers, who have that X factor in them. Leah Tahu wasn't really the greatest, and she herself was a replacement for Lauren Cheadle, and they let go of her. What did you make of that pick, Daniel Gibson, which was the last buy of the auction, if I'm not wrong?
Again, it was a little surprising because Daniel Gibson has done fairly well, in her games for England. But again, she's not your first choice pacer, all-rounder sort of a mold, right? So that was a little surprising, but I'm hoping she gets enough game time because the concern I keep coming back to with Gujarat is how do you balance out that overseas quota, right? Because you already have such experienced players in Beth Mooney, Laura Wolfart, you also have
Phoebe Litchfield,
Ashley Gardner, and all of them. Yeah, so it's just so many names. How are you going to balance it out? So in that sense, a little surprised with Danny Gibson's inclusion, but I hope she's still able to make that sort of an impact. We've seen whatever little of her in the 100 and plays for London Spirit.
Deepti Sharma's team, that's true.
Deepti Sharma's team, yeah. So has done fairly well, but again, it's the WPL. It's again Indian conditions. So excited to see how she goes, but I hope Gujarat has again not made it, like so many players, kisko khilai, problems of abundance, and that sort of thing.
And the thing is, like you said, for me, the concern is they were starting off from a place of suffering from a problem of abundance. ऐसा नहीं था कि पहले से उनका अच्छा था, settled था. They already had a lot of, batters, top order batters, and they did not know who to fit where. So you would have imagined कि जो भी pacer लेंगे, they would make their way into the 11 straight away. But now that they've gone for someone like a Daniel Gibson, I just don't know what to make of that because again, I'm sorry. Like there were better options available.
Words,
that's what I want to say. There were better options available. I'm not saying she's not good enough. She's of course a pace bowling all-rounder. So there is a bit of value that she can add with the bat as well. But again, अगर तुम गिब्सन की बैटिंग पे डिपेंड करने वाले हो तो वहीं पे तुम्हारा फ्लॉड है. That's
because then again, if you look at the bowling composition, it becomes entirely dependent on the Indian domestic players to come good,
exactly,
which is putting a lot of pressure on them, right? So not very convinced with that strategy of going after someone like Danny Gibson, who herself is again not playing that regularly for
England.
Right? So
because what I remember is she played that game against West Indies. Not semi-final, the World Cup last group stage game. Did not pick a wicket in that game. Did not do much with the bat. So देखते क्या होता है. I mean, of course, ठीक है, they needed a pacer. They've gone for a pacer, so we can't really fault them for that. That is their pick. but let us see how it works out for them. अभी थोड़ा उनके 11 पे भी नजर मारते हैं. Let's have the Gujarat Giants playing 11 out. There we go. Beth Mooney to open, of course. यहाँ पे हमने हरलीन दियोल को डाला. We will talk about this further कि क्यों हरलीन दियोल है वहाँ पे. Number 3, Dylan Hemlata. Number 4, Ashley Gardner. Number 5, Deandra Doughton. Number 6, Phoebe Litchfield. Number 7, Simran Sheikh. Number 8, Kashfi Gautam. Number 9, Tanuja Kanwar. Number 10, Shabnam Shakil. And number 11, Priya Mishra. So all in all, this is the 11. Harleen Diol, they literally have no other option barring Harleen Diol at the top. Laura, unfortunately, because of the overseas cap, and given that they will need someone like a Deandra Doughton in the middle overs, to be able to attack and also probably finish games for them. And also the value she adds with the ball, we cannot discount that as well.
Absolutely.
So given the package that Deandra Doughton, brings to the table, Laura unfortunately will have to miss out, which means Harleen Diol will have to open for them. But what do you make of that 11, Neha? Does it give you confidence if you were a Gujarat Giants fan?
In all fairness, not really, because again, it looks a little undercooked in some areas. I mean, Shabnam Shakil is definitely a very exciting talent. Someone we have been, I think following ever since her, like age group days. I mean, she's still young, so she's still playing age group cricket. But again, just putting the entire onus of that pace bowling attack on her. I mean, that might be a little like putting a lot of pressure on this young kid. But Tanuja Kanwar too, I mean, hoping she can replicate the success of her past season. She was such an important part of the Gujarat bowling lineup, right? So we've often seen how players can't really do that. Like Saika Ashok too had just a great WPL 1, but WPL 2 was not up to the mark. So Tanuja Kanwar, I hope that the international experience kind of gets better. Even Beth Mooney, as a captain, I do have my concerns and reservations. And you guys can also share your thoughts in the comments, because after season 2 got over, she did talk about how, captaincy se mujhe thoda...
पहले season के पहले उन्होंने बोला था, but ठीक है.
Yeah, but clearly it fell on deaf ears. So her as a captain leading this sort of a unit doesn't give me a lot of confidence. That's why I'd love to have someone like a Laura Wolfert, just be in that team. I mean, she is unfortunately not a World Cup winning captain, but has been a finalist 2 times, has been doing reasonably well for, South Africa as well. So I, want someone like her. But Beth Mooney again comes with her CV, right, of having done so well in the WPL. I mean,
she's a bank.
Yeah, giving you 500 runs easily, not 500 maybe, like giving you easy 300, 400 runs per season. This season, right? Although Perth Scorchers had an absolute...
shocker.
Disastrous season. I think she was still one of the shining lights. So I hope she can bring that sort of a revival for Gujarat as well.
Because... team hug de, lekin wo achhi karti rahegi. Jokes.
So just hoping that sort of a unit comes well. But again, I would be interested to see what is the overseas combination they go for. Because again, we see a change in management, right? Mithali Raj and Nushan Al Khadir are not a part of the setup anymore. It's entirely new now.
Yep.
So just let's see how that goes.
Like, again, in terms of Beth Mooney herself, I just don't know if it's that responsibility of captaincy that's affecting her batting or what, because we've always come to expect runs from her. Be whatever conditions, be whatever the opponent, she somehow manages to find a way to score.
To build that innings and then accelerates. We've seen that many times with Australia.
Like, you always know कि यार जैसे तुम जो भी है ना, average of 30, 40, sometimes even 50, strike rate of 120 maybe. Strike rate might not be on the higher side, but if you are able to consistently, give that 30 run, 40 run knocks.
And someone to just anchor the innings, that kind of confidence she definitely gives. But as a captain, again,
That's true. But that's where it is important, to see if you're going to build a side with Beth Mooney. It's not that you shouldn't have Beth Mooney in your side. It's about who you're pairing her with. What's the rest of the batting lineup looking like? If you pair her with aggressive batters, around her, then it does make sense. But अगर तुम उनके साथ वेदा कृष्णमूर्ति, हरलीन दियोल, ऐसे players, and unfortunately Ashley Gardner's also not performed. Phoebe Litchfield hasn't performed for them. So given that she's not had a lot of support from the other end, it's meant that she's had to take a bit more responsibility on herself, and that's clearly not work for her. So वो एक अपने को देखना पड़ेगा.
That's why I thought, if they went for say someone like a Lizelle Lee, I know that would just add a lot of pressure on the overseas quota and everything, and they'd have to shell out a little bit of money. But then still, it upsets the combination, no?
Yeah, to be honest, Lizelle Lee को लेना है ना. Laura Wolfert वो role कर सकती है, because we've seen Laura do that in the World Cup.
We've seen glimpses of that even for strikers.
Exactly, we saw glimpses of that. Number 3 pe. Yeah, that's true. In fact, I remember during the World Cup we were talking about her numbers. she has the second or the third best strike rate amongst all opening batters in 2024.
Batting with Tasman with so
Exactly.
pressure
Uske
padta
baad
hai,
bhi,
yeah.
uske baad bhi. So she's been the aggressor between Tasman and her, that is for South Africa. So she clearly can don that aggressor's role. So if Beth and Laura, and we saw Beth and Laura have fantastic opening partnerships last year. I remember 200 run plus partnerships,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
coming against RCB itself. So clearly as a pair also they worked well together. But again, given the combination that they've gone ahead with and given the kind of options they've gone ahead with for in the other departments, it means that Laura will find herself shortchanged and she will have to miss out on a few games.
Possibly, unless something really magical can happen or an injury comes in, and she kind of will force her way into that playing 11.
That is true. That is true. I do agree there. So, I mean, in terms of the 11, I do agree, not the greatest of 11s. That way, I mean, not. It doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence.
At
कि
the
अरे
moment,
भाई
yeah.
मैं तो डर गया यार अभी कैसे खेलेंगे. But it is one of those teams.
That has the potential,
Yeah.
obviously.
Like
Underdog
RR
story.
2008 वैसा वाला साइड है कि देख के लगेगा कि क्या है, but potential बहुत है. If they are able to punch above their weight, it is one of those scenes where if the sum can be greater than the whole of their parts, then of course, then it can do wonders. Shabnam Shakil, Priya Mishra, a lot of potential. Tanuja Kanwar,
yeah.
ball के साथ ही नहीं, in fact bat के साथ भी we saw a couple of crucial cameos from her last season.
Even Kashvi Gautam, because she's coming back from injury,
Yeah.
has a lot to prove. For
Exactly.
that sort of a price tag, the next edition is going to be a mega auction, right?
Yep.
So we'll see teams again letting go of a lot of things, pressing the reset button that Gujarat is often known for. So yeah, in that sense, we'll really have to see. It's going to be a season-defining moment for a lot of these players. They
That's
really
true.
have to prove their worth.
Yeah. So that way, again, we cannot count them out. We shouldn't count them out. But right now, as things stand, you would imagine ki, maybe not the strongest of the sides, but there is a lot of potential. And I don't think we could have said this last season, like at the end of last auction, that is. Where it still seemed ki boss chal kya raha hai, kya options hai. But now, the addition of Deandra Doughton, the addition of Kashvi Gautam in a very real sense. Last time around, unfortunately, Kashvi had to miss out. If she is going to be fully fit and firing for them, and hopefully Priya Mishra will now get a lot more game time. Shabnam Shakil also now will be available for the entire season, unlike last time around. Phoebe Litchfield has been in great form. Beth Mooney, again, agar ye sab fire karne laga, so yeah, all in all, it's not looking as bad as it was say last year. So fingers crossed, hopefully they will be able to do
pull
well.
off a few wins.
Exactly,
and
at
not
the very
end up
least.
at the last.
तो वो एक अपने को देखना पड़ेगा. So that's that from Gujarat Giants, and in terms of what we had to talk about them. Next up, of course, it is the UP Warriors. पहली season में eliminator तक तो पहुंचे थे. दूसरे season में unfortunately they finished fourth. This time around they had the second highest purse. First player to come in or to enter the WPL auction, Deandra Doughton. They were the losing bidders. They were very keen on roping her in, especially despite the fact that they had Talia McGrath, Grace Harris, and whatnot.
Chamari, all of them.
Exactly. So it was a very interesting call. And they also ended the auction with the highest purse remaining. They ended the auction with about 3.5 crores remaining. पता नहीं पैसे घर लेके जाएंगे, पार्टी में खर्च करना है, क्या करना है उनको, देखेंगे वहां पे. Now, of course, coming to the squad, they had only 3 slots remaining, 1 overseas and 2 domestic. They have filled them up with Arushi Goyal, Kranti Gaud, both from Madhya Pradesh, both playing for Madhya Pradesh, and the Aussie spinner Alana King. So that way, not a lot of activity from the UP Warriors dugout, but they did bid for a few players, a fair few players. Deandra Doughton, like we said earlier, being one amongst them. Thoughts on the auction itself overall? Neha, क्या लगा उसके बारे में?
I mean, for UP, honestly, it was for me kind of underwhelming. I really thought they should have gone after a pacer. You let go of Lauren Bell. I thought you need someone to carry that pace attack. I know Saima Thakur comes in with that international experience. Anjali Sarvani, someone you kind of believe in. You didn't let go of her. I'm talking from the management perspective. So I thought an overseas pacer would really do them a world of good. You have a world-class spinner in Sophie Eccleston. Alisa Healy is your captain. Chamari Atapattu ka thoda dekhna padega if she constantly makes it to that playing time. So I thought an overseas pacer is the next best option. But bang, they go in for Alana King, which again, she's a great leggy. I mean, has done really well for Australia, is keeping Amanda Jade Wellington out also for the right reasons. But then again, where is she going to fit in, right? I mean, considering they've gone after this person, she's definitely going to make it there. But Alana King's numbers in India too, like, do they impress you a lot? Like, लगता है क्या?
वही वो, that's in fact the other side of the argument, right? Like Alana King's numbers in India
are surprisingly not that great.
exactly. So given that, does it make sense? Sure. I mean, that is a fair way of looking at things, but I would just look at the format. Our sample size bhi utna bada nahi. It's not like she's played 50, 60 games in India for us to be able to gauge her performances.
No, she's
But-
coming from a great WPL, that's for
Exactly,
sure. One of the top wicket takers, took 5 at will, and was really looking in good control. But again, her potency in Indian conditions is something that is going to get tested.
But like I said, उसका पहला series ही था वो 2022 का T20 series.
Where India lost 4-1.
Exactly, yeah, 4-1, yeah. So those 5 T20s, then 3 that India played last year. So 8 games, 2 smaller samples, so I wouldn't really look too much into them. वो 4-1 वाला series, of course, was a very well fought series and high scoring games as well. So she wasn't the only one.
Also, the scoreline reads 4-1 and I'm all like this. It was still
it could have very easily been 3-2 in India's favor. It was a very well fought series. But again, so that way, इसीलिए मैं वो numbers पे तो नहीं देखूंगा. And there might be a bit of bias, but I love Alana King, not just her bowling, but
kind of personality.
Yeah, the way she carries herself, I just love it. यार वो swag है उसके पास. वो है, मतलब she carries herself. She knows कि यार वो she does remind me of Shane Warne. I'm not even kidding. The way the attitude.
Respect for him also.
Exactly, and so मेरे को वो अच्छा लगा. She's also got great control. She's got a good googly. She's also, of course, not the worst batter out there. More than handy number 8, number 9. So Sophie Eccleston ke saath, that's actually not too bad, a lower order there. So all in all, I wouldn't call it the worst buy, but given UP's sort of squad and given what they were looking for, is this the greatest of buys?
Not sure.
Yeah, only time will tell, because they had 2 gun spinners in Deepti and Sophie.
Who have done well,
but Deepti, Sophie, Alana King, it is on paper, it looks great. Oh, bhai, मतलब क्या spin try का.
Very enviable also.
Exactly. अगर एकाना में matches होंगे ना, तो भाई पैसे ले लो, UP Warriors जीत जाएगी, पता है मेरे को. You don't need to worry.
Actually, yeah.
But अभी हमें नहीं पता ना, हमें नहीं पता ना वहाँ पे होगा कि नहीं. फिलहाल as things stand, we just have to assume कि चिन्नास्वामी में थोड़े बहुत matches होंगे. At best, Firozshah Kota या वानखेड़े में भी matches होंगे.
Navi Mumbai.
हाँ, exactly. All of these are batter-friendly surfaces. None of them exactly
like favor spinners or bowlers.
Or are known for being conducive to spin. So, given that greatest of buys, not sure. Pacer हम सबको लगा लेंगे, but pacer उन्होंने लिया. International नहीं सही, domestic pacer लिया. Kranti Gaud, who really looks very promising. Love that action, love the rhythm. Of course, we've not seen a lot of her domestic exploits, given that they aren't necessarily streamed. But जो भी हम लोग clips, footage देख पाए,
lovely in swing one. I mean, clean ball. Like, you love to see that on loop, right?
Yeah, and she's got a great action, a very strong action. She finishes also very well. Her action is.
Plays for Madhya Pradesh in the domestic circuit. Recently in the match versus Chhattisgarh also, she bowled
3-4 if I'm not wrong. She took,
has been looking in good shape. Again, we're just looking at like scorecards and making these
of course assumptions, and we'll have to, of course, we'll have to draw insights or derive insights out of very little footage of video samples. So pardon us if we are way off there, but she also, of course, can tonk a few sixes, can tonk a few boundaries. Batting bhi thodi bahut kar leti hai. But UP Warriors clearly haven't picked up for a batting potential. It's the bowling primarily. बहुत अच्छा action है, बहुत अच्छा rhythm, and I am very happy to see UP have at least gone for someone like her. If I have to compare her with the likes of Anjali Sarvani or Yashasvi,
I think she's going to make the cut any day.
Exactly. She'll definitely start over her for me. Jitna bhi clips dekh paya, I felt that she was, reaching the 110 clicks mark comfortably. काफी अच्छे pace में डाल रही थी, काफी अच्छे लय में लग रही थी. भाई साहब क्या हिंदी में बात किया मैंने, ले ऐसा लगता है I'm manifesting my inner Vivek Razdan, but sure. तो इसीलिए I am actually looking forward to her, and if UP Warriors have been able to unearth a diamond in Kranti Gaud, that would go a long way in solving their problems, because we've been talking about how UP Warriors have struggled in that pace department. Exactly. Last year was just Talia Meghra, and Talia Meghra herself was woefully out of form. This time around, with someone like a Kranti Gaud doing well, along with Saima Thakur, who now is I wouldn't say proven, but international player. That's good. That's good, given that you've got Alana, Sophie, Deepti, Grace even. So given that spin attack, if these two are able to somehow complement, then that'll be great. Because last time around, if my memory serves me right, 12 overs of spin, opponents would usually score 75-80 runs, make sure they don't concede a lot of wickets. बाकी के 8 ओवर में 80-100 रन मार लेते थे because पेसर्स में कोई कंट्रोल ही नहीं था.
Yeah.
Saima Thakur also played only 3 or 4 games in the latter half. She played the first game and then
And
she
she
was
looked
dropped.
good actually in those outings, enough to even kind of merit her place in the
India,
Indian side.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So given that now India, I mean, Saima will also be playing consistently for UP Warriors, or at least that's what you would hope.
Or spearheading the pace attack for all you know,
Potentially,
yeah.
exactly. So you would expect a lot more control from the Pacers. तो वो वहाँ पे अपने को देखना पड़ेगा. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. Let us take a few of the comments, of course. We haven't taken that. There are a few, of course, on Gujarat Giants. We'll take them now. Joined in late, saw your 11 for Gujarat Giants. Didn't Bet say that she doesn't want to captain? I think Laura will captain Phoebe on the bench unless Ash has another bad season. Diksha, I do agree with you. I mean, Phoebe did mention that she does. I mean, not Phoebe,
Bet,
sorry.
yeah.
Beth did mention that she does
And we
not.
spoke about it also.
Yeah, want to captain Gujarat Giants or want to captain the side. But retentions के time पे तो it seemed fairly evident because captain का sign उन्हीं के बगल में था and they've not announced a new captain back then. I don't think Deanna Doughton could potentially be a captain for them. Laura, if she's going to play, then who goes out? कौन लग रहा है? कोई है वहाँ पे जो मतलब
it is going to be a really tough one, no? Because I was thinking of someone like a Phoebe Litchfield, you know, captaining Gujarat because she did
Sydney Thunder.
Fairly well for Sydney Thunder. You know, they were in the reckoning also. No?
That is true.
So I think she would be a good choice. But then again, who do you leave out? It just becomes all the more complicated for them because one of Beth Mooney or Laura Wolfhard will have to
exactly
sit out, which is I don't think the situation they want to find themselves in. So I think Beth Mooney will captain this season. Maybe iske baad shayad they might take a call. But it's going to be an important one for her. And I think even we were on the topic of UP Warriors, even for Alisa Healy for that matter, honestly.
Yep.
Because she hasn't kind of lived up to that sort of a reputation or, you know, what we've really expected of her has become very injury prone in the past few months, so to say. And somewhere I hope, you know, ki kahin usko nikali na de, like, if she just phases out because now they're looking at T-Mac as, you know, that...
Yeah, you're talking about Australia there in terms of captaincy. Yeah, UP Warriors themselves can look at that. And I do agree with you in terms of Lisa Healy because there were a lot of people, Nikhil Bhai himself, who is an ardent UP Warriors fan, who was, you know, voicing out his opinions and saying, you know what, you're better off letting go of Lisa Healy because Uma Chhetri hai, Vrinda Dinesh hai, openers bhi ho jayenge. I know Uma Chhetri does not necessarily open for Assam, but given that India ke liye open, कर रही है, number 3 पे भी India के लिए खेला, you would imagine she can manage herself at the top, keeping भी कर लेती है, so you're not necessarily going to miss out on Lisa Healy, at least the value that she brings to the side. But of course, there is experience. She is a gun clutch Australian player. You cannot deny that.
Absolutely not taking that away from her. But her recent numbers haven't given that sort of a confidence. But hoping she has a great season. But otherwise, UP will have to look at options in the future. You know, I think we were talking in our last stream about, you know, having someone like a Deepti, you know, lead the side because she has expressed captaincy aspirations. But that's us just thinking way too far ahead. But Alisa Healy, you know, matter at hand, she has to ensure she has a great season personally, coming back from injury again. So
for sure. It won't be easy. Let's just take this one more comment about Gujarat Giants before we talk about the UP Warriors 11. Oh, that's a bad ball from Deanna Doughton there. Cricket.com going on to say GG needed an experienced pacer and they got Danny Gibson, which looks weird. I thought that Neha's lookalike was sort of a selection in the last season. I can understand, but you need a leader. Wait, who's your lookalike?
I don't know who's my lookalike.
I thought that Neha's lookalike was sort of a selection in the last season. I have no clue.
ऐसे riddles मत खेलो.
Yeah, exactly. सीधा बताओ भाई. मतलब
I didn't know I had a lookalike, but okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, who do you look like? I don't know if this is a reflection of my poor, you know, understanding of women's cricket.
No, I don't think it's poor, but yeah.
देखते. So do let us know who are you referring to that cricket.com. He's referring to. I'm assuming you're a he. Cricket.com is referring to Liya Tahu. So interesting. Okay. I sort of see it now that I see. Yeah. Now that he points out, I sort of see. But he can look like बोलने जितना तो नहीं है. Joining late, why Sneerana went and sold sports fan? That's a question even we have to find answers for.
Honestly disappointed. Was expecting her to be, you know, bought back by Gujarat, considering she kind of, you know, captained you in the absence of your regular captain, has done well, you know, in domestic cricket, has been doing consistently well in domestic cricket, and can be a good backup, right? Can mentor all the young bowlers also coming in, has not a fair bit, a good deal of international experience as well. And yeah, as kind of a tad bit disappointed there. Even the likes of Poonam Yadav, I just see them, kind of phase out and just end up playing domestic cricket or getting reduced to say a format. Sneh Rana for the longest has been looked at, as a red ball specialist for India. So yeah, a little bit disappointed there.
I mean, to be honest, Poonam Yadav ke saath to fir bhi samajh mein aata because she is on the other side of the age spectrum. So clearly she's not getting any younger. And given that she's very one-dimensional in what she offers, so
And
bowling
yeah.
hi kar sakti hai, no batting and not necessarily a lot of fielding. So it was always going to be a fairly simpler call to not go for her.
Yeah.
Sneh Rana, on the other hand, she's 30. She is India's premier red ball spinner, if I may say
No
so.
doubt about
We
it.
all remember that 8 for 77 against South Africa just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Not doing too badly for Railways. So it was very
I
surprising.
recently picked the 6-4 versus Andhra as well.
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah, that's
actually
true.
looking really good.
So,
But, yeah.
and again, I know कि यार batting वाली उतना नहीं है सब. I completely am on board with all those arguments.
Yeah.
But my point is, given how India or other sides in general have been struggling to identify top talents when it comes to all-rounders, Sneh Rana, I don't see
was
her.
at the top of
Yeah,
the list.
मतलब
Yeah.
बैटिंग कर लेती है, बॉलिंग कर लेती है, फील्डिंग भी कर लेती है, चाहे तो लीडरशिप ग्रुप का भी हिस्सा रह सकती है. She captains Railways, which until not too long ago was the best side in the in the domestic circuit. So it was very surprising, to be honest, but
That's how the nature of auctions are, honestly. I mean, I think she's one player who's known to make that sort of a comeback. So I wouldn't be surprised if next season, there will be a team that will go after her. Or, she comes in as a replacement player as well, right? So yeah, just keeping our fingers crossed for that. But definitely very surprised that she went on pole.
Yep, for sure. देखते हैं वहां पे
Sure.
क्या होता है. Of course, Jemmy there, river sweep and Karishma Ramirak. Coming back, of course, not a watch along once again. We'll have to probably keep saying that out loud so that we keep reminding ourselves. Siddhesh asks us, Arushi Goyal, please tell us a bit more about her as well. Arushi and Kranti Gaut, both MP players, of course. Arushi is not a pacer. She's an off spinner, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
batter,
off
of course.
spinner and batter. Can tonk a few here and there.
So more of an aggressive batter, top order batter. Any?
No, I think she is in the middle.
Okay.
And, yeah. Whatever little, at least again we've seen of her, has shown a lot of promise. Was she picked by any WPL team in the past?
No,
right?
This is her first time.
Yeah. So again, I hope she gets some opportunities. But either case, I think for a lot of these players, just being a part of the WPL setup will do them a world of good, right? So yeah, let's see how that kind of goes. We will definitely see that. So yeah, an off-spinning all-rounder if our memory serves us right, but more known for her bowling that way. And batting ka again, because we haven't seen batting to bilkul nahi dekha hai, bowling thoda bahut dekhne ko mila. So that's pretty much what we can say of her. And which reels mein dekhe, her just doing her thing and hitting a few sixes, but that doesn't give away a lot. So apologies for that. Yeah. Dekhna padega. I mean, more of a backup option, I would imagine, because UP Warriors already have way too many, top tier domestic batters that way. Vrinda Dinesh, Uma Chhetri, Kiran Avgire, Shweta Sehrawat, Poonam Kemnar, and Uma Chhetri. Uma Chhetri bola. ठीक है, 5 नाम वहीं पे हो गए. So we've got the graphic out. So there you go. Vrinda Dinesh, Uma Chhetri, Poonam Kemnar. Then there is Shweta Sehrawat, Kiran Avgire. बाप रे, 5 अच्छे खासे batters हैं वहाँ पे, who in their own right would have probably made each of the other sides first 11. But given that सबको इकट्ठा करके रखा यूपी वॉरियर्स ने कि हम किसी को जाने नहीं देंगे, हम किसी को किसी दूसरे टीम के लिए खेलने नहीं देंगे. So it will be interesting to see क्या होता है वहाँ पे. Of course, now UP Warriors, one more bit remaining. Let's talk about that playing 11 and how that shapes up right now. Alisa Healy at the top, captain and wicketkeeper. The Kannadiga Hudgi, of course, if that makes sense. Vrinda Dinesh pairing up with her. The top, Kiran Avgire at number 3. We slated Deepti Sharma Radha. I've slated Deepti Sharma at number 4 because of her performances at the top last time around. We spoke about the 3 consecutive 50s for UP Warriors. Then the MVP of the season as exactly. Well, London Spirit के लिए भी अच्छा किया था, tournament जिताया था उनके लिए. So at the top, she does have a lot of value to offer. And gives a little bit of confidence as well. Right? Exactly. And importantly, where it helps UP Warriors is in ensuring that now they don't have to play someone like a Talia Meghra at the top because Deepti Sharma वहाँ पे अगर खेल पाएंगी, it frees up an opening slot for later. And who is that later for? We will talk about it. Number 5, Shweta Sehrawat. I know it's extremely out of position because she is an opener. For Delhi, she usually plays at the top. Exactly. But last year, she didn't do too badly and she's shown signs of improvement just after 1 year. So hopefully after year 2 now, she's had even more time to work on her batting, work on her game.
So hopefully at number 5, she'll be able to add a lot of value. A finisher in the form of Grace Harris, then Poonam Khemnat. That sort of rounds up their batting
How
lineup.
are you forgetting Sophie Eccleston, man? She can also tonk a few.
उस हिसाब से तो अलाना किंग भी है. Apologies, अलाना किंग number 10 पे, number 9 पे ही खेलेंगी. Sophie Eccleston number 8, number 9 Alana King, 10 Saima Thakur, 11 Kranti Gaur. Maybe there's a lot of bias, but Kranti Gaur again, jitna dekha hai, she starts for me ahead of Anjali Sarvani and ahead of that's the only other pacer she has to be ahead of. For me, she is definitely ahead of Anjali Sarvani. So Saima and Kranti will be the pace attack. I know it's not a lot, but you'll have to make do.
They'll have to make do. I think T-Mac can, contribute.
T-Mac nahi hai na, 20 se 11 mein to T-Mac.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, because who do you drop? You can't drop Anisa.
But then again, you won't have a finisher in that.
And Grace Harris, ye जिन्होंने matches जीता है यार, तुम Grace Harris को, I'd be taken aback to say the least. And Talia Meghra herself had a horrendous season for UP Warriors last year. तो देखना पड़ेगा, maybe current form को भी ध्यान में रखेंगे. So if Grace Harris is not in the greatest of recent form, then maybe they can make that switcheroo. In which case, it will look a lot more settled. T-Mac, Saima Thakur and Kranti Gaur, to handle the pace department. And then there's, of course, Deepthi, Alana, Sophie. That's 12 overs you don't need to worry about. 12 solid overs. एकदम solid से भी solid. एकदम वो अंबुजा सीमेंट, JK लक्ष्मी सबको मिला के जो भी सीमेंट बनता है उससे ही दीवार बनेगी. That's 12 bankable overs. And I'm excited to watch that troika. I'll be honest, बहुत मजा आएगा वो देखने में. And I hope this also means, sorry, Rajadi, is that what she's called?
Rajeshwari Gaikwad.
Rajeshwari Gaikwad, please. हिंदी में भी बोलूंगा, कन्नड़ा में भी बोलूंगा, क्षम्स पड़ी, बट हो गया यार, अभी है ऑप्शंस. प्लीज मत करो यार, ये जुल्म मत करो.
Even Gaur Sultana may not really get that many opportunities, right? She's done reasonably well for Hyderabad.
This time now she's come back. But again, point is, you don't have to go back to them. You've got better options available. I know Pashvi Chopra did not necessarily get a lot of chances last time around, and then they let go of her. In fact, there was a comment on that as well, right here. Deeksha also going on to say, sad to see Pashvi drop off so early. What do you make of that? Hardly got any game time. First season में 1-2 matches खेले थे शायद. Second season में बिल्कुल नहीं. Then she's let go off, and John Lewis also spoke about it.
Categorically spoke about it. She just
not improved.
Up to the mark, and I think that's a kind of conversation you have in private with the player rather than making it public. I mean, this is the one time I'm like, mat karo itna transparent conversations, because she's again, she was in the reckoning for the under-19 squad as well, right? For the Asia Cup as well, but did not make the cut. So in that sense, I was thinking maybe that was a conversation for more private things. But anyway, really sad to see her kind of fall out of the radar and not getting picked by any teams. But I reckon she will, continue to play domestic cricket and do her things. Yeah, hoping she can make a strong comeback.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I remember being very excited to see her. She was back then to a proper all-rounder. उन्होंने शायद 1-2 centuries भी मारी थी वो under-19 World Cup में. But that bowling is what I was looking forward to. But unfortunately, she's not come good or developed as well as we would have expected her to. But
again, it depends on the kind of games they've given her, and high stakes WPL game where you expect young players to perform. Maybe it's a lot to ask.
Expect तब करोगे जब खिलाओगे ना, उसको खेलने का मौका कहाँ मिला. पहले सीजन में जो 1-2 गेम्स खेली थी, she didn't do too badly, to be honest. I remember
hit for a few runs, but
I remember taking a wicket or two in either of the games. So she wasn't the worst. But second season में तो game time ही नहीं मिला. They consistently backed Gaur Sultana and Rajeshwari Gaikwad over her. So that was a tad bit surprising. So देखते हैं क्या होता है वहाँ पे. Healy's fitness can be a concern. Completely agree with you there. Siddesh also going on to say, Siddesh seems like a new name. Guys, all of you, that's fantastically hooked by Jenny for his 6.
Akshay, don't get distracted.
Yeah, please make sure you're hitting the like button, guys. Please like the bow, subscribe bhi karo jinhone nahi kiya. Make sure you hit the like button. It'll do us a world of good, of course. We are here to talk about women's cricket. Just as fans, we love the sport, we love the game, and
a little bit of nuance and insights trying our
That's the hope. We'll of course try to be as objective as possible. बीच में लेकिन हम लोग अपना RCB जर्सी भी पहन लेंगे, बाद में गाली मत देना. But of course, let's take a few more questions before we move on to the next side. If Healy won't be able to recover, will UP replace her with an all-rounder? Yeah, that's a chat to be had at a much later stage. मतलब, there's क्या फायदा हम
Alisa Healy will be looking to recover in time for the Ashes. Yeah, honestly, I think that is going to be her focus rather than the WPL. So based on how she performs in that Ashes, I think we can form our assumptions as to can they look at an all-rounder or probably do something on those lines. Yeah.
And देखते हैं यार मतलब 3 महीना बचा है अभी से हम लोग we can't
just rule her out.
Yeah, exactly. सीधा and rule करने after ruling her out कौन options है मतलब बहुत time है अभी से that's मतलब too much to sort of think about.
For later.
Exactly. So we will talk about it later. Why is Uma Chhetri opening in T20Is? This is just one of experiment like Priya Punya in ODIs. To be clear, guys, I know बीच में हमने थोड़ा react किया, but watch along नहीं चल रहा है. We will take this question. Even then, question hai, of course. Uma Chhetri opening. Neha, I know you weren't particularly impressed with it. What do you make of it and what do you make of the question?
See, honestly, I think it's a fair question to ask because right now as Indian fans, I think all of us have been feeling the sense of, I don't know, desperation, anger, and just a lot of questions in our mind as to why certain things are happening. Uma Chhetri, for the uninitiated, plays for Assam, and she plays, in that middle order, comes in at T4 or whatever is usually her entry point. Again, just expecting her to open and do her thing is, I think, a lot to ask for, but that's how the Indian team kind of finds itself right now, just pushing players to the deep end of the pool and expecting them to just swim and come out of it. Just looking at the T20 squad that was announced as well.
We will save that chat. Yeah. तो squad के बारे में हम लोग विस्तार में extensively बात करेंगे in the next segment.
Yeah.
So Uma Chhetri, of course, like Neha said,
was probably the only option they could have explored. Nandini Kashyap bhi thi, but maybe it was too soon to push her to international cricket. So I see that as the only rationale. Otherwise, just thinking out loud.
Yep. Completely agree. And we will, of course, be talking about it in due course, and we will, of course, definitely talk about it. दो और टीम्स नहीं, 3 और टीम्स बची हैं, the big 3 of course. उन तीनों टीम्स के अलावा WPL का शायद रास्ता ही खत्म हो जाएगा जल्दी. Mumbai Indians now first up or next up. Let's have the squad out. Again, just 4 slots remaining, so not a lot of purchases to be made. Nadine de Klerk.
Absolute steal.
Yeah.
Have to say it.
Definitely, and a very good buy that way. A buy that probably not a lot saw coming, but it was understandable. Izzy won't छोड़ा था, so they did want to pace bowling all round up their ranks. Nadine de Klerk is one of the best available out there. Experience भी है, batting में अच्छा value add करती है, bowling में अच्छा value add करती है.
Has been really evolving to be that sort of an all-rounder for South Africa, right? Annie Dirks and Nadine de Klerk, just doing their thing. So I think it was a steal. Honestly.
Yeah, and the word that you use, I completely agree with you there. That's also the word that comes to my mind when I think of Nadine de Klerk. Evolving, improving herself, continuously working on her game. The way she's added variations, fielding, bowling, maybe the way she's added variations to her armory. New ball ke saath ho, death mein ho, slower ones ho. Always good to watch.
Criminally underutilized by RCB, but then
to no fault of their own, but agreed.
Problems of abundance.
Exactly. वो सबके साथ होगा, but I completely agree with you on that front as well. Sanskriti Gupta, Akshata Maheshwari were the other 2 buys. And then, of course, the big buy, Neha's one and only G. Kamalini. Must be thrilled. 1.6 crores. Did you see that coming first up? And secondly, how happy are you that MI picked her up?
Really happy that MI picked her up because you could see the kind of reaction that was coming in from that Mumbai table. They really wanted to go after her. 1.6 crore is massive money, man. Come on, for a 16-year-old, it's massive. And
inferiority complex to the
and just seeing her progression, right? From she plays for Tamil Nadu again for the uninitiated. And age group cricket, she's been making a lot of waves, doing really well in that under 15 tournament as well. I mean, now she's 16, so she's being considered for under 19 as well. Even when she talks, I think the broadcasters also kind of talking about that innocence and all of that. You could just see how much the deal meant to her. Mumbai is a great place for her to kind of develop her game. Off season, maybe we'll see a lot of her. And I think today just might be her best possible day, scoring a match-winning knock for India in that under-19 Asia Cup as well versus Pakistan. Yeah, I don't think it gets any better, right? So very excited for her. Again, my concern is where do they slot her in that playing 11 because they already have a first-choice keeper in Yastika Bhatia, but
almost a like-for-like replacement, left-hander, top-order opener, and of course also wicket-keeper.
Exactly, yeah.
So wo dekhna padega. And like most people, of course, today was my first time watching Kamalini bat thanks to the India-Pakistan game being streamed. So wo dekha maine, of course, 3 sixes. Finished the game off with 2 consecutive sixes. Went well needed. But yeah, clearly she's got the chops. Look very much at ease. Great technique.
And with an under-19 World Cup coming up as well, right?
Yep,
I think,
that's true. I can see her already being a part of the squad. I'd be very surprised if she isn't.
Yes.
But she's got great range, यार. मतलब offside, leg side, हर जगह बहुत ही आसानी से runs बना पा रही थी. My only, I mean, I won't say concern, but the only thing that's the only box rather that I haven't ticked yet is her game against high pace, because आज जो भी pace attack था वो मतलब 90s, WWE 90s, probably early hundreds at best था. So I will just wait for that. But again, given how compact her technique is, I'd be very surprised if she doesn't have a great game against pace. She reminds me of Sai Sudarshan in some sense. Yeah, the way she bats, a very solid
Same
technique.
school of batting,
Exactly. Very few chinks in the armor, which is again bizarre and mind-boggling given that she's only 16. तो ऐसे टेक्निक लेके पैदा कैसे हो सकती है यार? ये तो नाइंसाफी है मेरे हिसाब से. But जो भी है, exactly. Fingers crossed for that. And in terms of where Mumbai will slot her in, this is sort of my pet peeve rather. आपने ले लिया. I'm thrilled to bits that she's gotten a gig. Mumbai Indians now have Yastika Bhatia, who will in all likelihood start for them.
Unless
she's
injury.
Fit. If she's fit, she starts for them. Which means you either risk slotting her in somewhere else, and वो somewhere else ऐसा नहीं कि number 3, number 4 पे खिला सकते हो. Number 3 पे Natsava Brand, number 4 पे Kurt, number 5 पे Harman, number 6 पे Pooja. You cannot directly replace any of them. So which means just like Humaira Kazi.
Out of position.
Out of position मतलब कहाँ number 9, number 8 वहाँ पे खिलना पड़ेगा, just like what Humaira Kazi did last year.
And she couldn't really deliver. And
exactly.
That is unfortunate that they'll just let go of her.
And that's the tricky part. And what's even more, I don't know how to put this, but IPL में तो ये देखा है. We've always spoken about how the worst possible time to bring in new talents is a year before the mega auction. Because तुम basically क्या कर रहे हो? तुम एक talent को discover करते हो या uncover unearth कर रहे हो, ला रहे हो tournament में, maybe you even give her a few games, she does well, and then you will have to retain only 3, 4, probably 5, 6 players at best. Will Kamalini be in that list? I don't know, because you've already got, so many overseas players, so many, premium Indian
and
players.
And मान लेते retain भी कर लेते. It's a huge, massive, amount that she's been retained for, right?
So amount to फिर भी मैं मतलब that's something I live with as a side. But if you're not able to retain her, and if she enters the auction, मतलब फिर से भाई काम मैंने क्या मतलब वो क्या बोलते हैं? Exactly, like you've sowed the seeds, but the fruits will be eaten by someone else. But again, that's such a वो 6D chess वाला game हो गया. I don't think any side will look at it that way. But it is something they will be cautious about, which is why even while giving chances to Kamalini, I'm pretty sure the MI setup will be slightly cautious and wary about how they play her and how they utilize her.
Or they might really look at her as a long-term prospect as well, kind of groom her, nurture her in the setup.
Yeah, that's
take
true.
over the reins in the future. So you are his first year.
Chalo, sahi hai. Meanwhile, Samit, if I'm not wrong, is the name. Samit VK saying, my scouting in IPL and WPL is outstanding. No competition. Completely agree with you, but I wouldn't say Kamalini is a scouting gem. Everyone knew.
Was available for public knowledge. It's just about them being very smart with their.
1.6 crores पे अगर वो जा रही है ना, you can't call it MI. मतलब kudos to MI for getting her. DC also knew enough of a 1.5 that वो भी गए. So she isn't a part of that list, but completely agree with you. MI scouting is second to none. So completely agree with you.
Jhulan Goswami herself, right? You see her often, interact so much with the players. She knows a lot about the ecosystem. So in that sense,
and I'm still waiting for Amandeep Kaur because last year the way she reacted, was it probably after Kirtana, after getting?
They were so happy and in jubilation.
Hi, साहब तो वो एक देखना बचा. Kirtana भी अच्छी थी. Cricket.com meanwhile saying CSK should now feel that there should be a WPL team. They lost one of their academy players. मेरे को CSK नहीं, मेरे को KKR मांगता है. I've already मैंने बोला पहले और मैंने बोला भी है कि क्यों I wanted to be KKR. मतलब वो बात के लिए मतलब कभी और के लिए रखेंगे. But yeah, I hope it's KKR. The next side that comes is KKR.
But I think she was a part of the Super Kings academy.
The junior Super Kings, as it's known. That's true. Arish meanwhile saying Yastika's fitness has actually helped in the price hike for Kamalini. वो उस तरफ हो गया, but इस तरफ क्या? Will you say Tanya Bhatia's batting which helped Kamalini's price hike? Fair point though. Both sides wanted to keep her bat, and
Delhi also got a very good purchase. We will talk about that.
Yeah, of course we will be talking about it. Meantime, DCB bolti. I mean, Ananya Upendran, of course, being another name that cricket.com mentions. Of completely agree with you there. Ananya Upendran, there's Kritika, who's worked with RCB again. Chuffed a bit for her as well. Someone who's been, watching,
Such
following.
an integral part of the growth of women's cricket in India. Honestly, these people have done God's work. When no one was reporting on the game,
Exactly.
they have actually gone to Bengaluru, fought for the rights and everything. So in that sense,
Completely agree. So the fact that now they themselves are directly associated with IPL teams, that makes it even more.
It's like a reward to the kind of work they've been doing back, and they know all of these players, right?
Yep, and I wanted to say heartwarming, but
Heartwarming.
yeah, I don't want to say heartwarming as well because
I just reduce it to that.
हाँ exactly ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि हाँ for the sake of it जैसे CSK ने पुजारा को लिया था कि अरे heartwarming जैसे not in that sense. This is where you're actually rewarding someone for what they've done. They have the eyes, they have actually put in the hard yards, and good to see them also being directly associated with
and sit at the table and make those big calls.
Exactly. So her being directly associated with the growth of women's cricket is fantastic to watch. Will Amandeep bat in the top 6? She's the most underutilized talent in the WPL, and that too by MI. I have a feeling he's referring to Amanjot here. Amandeep batting शायद उतना नहीं करती और खेली नहीं अब तक. Yeah, so but
Amanjot Kaur, honestly, I mean, broke into that Indian team, for that South Africa wala series. Almost for 2 years back, right?
South Africa series था कि नहीं? Australia series था. England और Australia series मेरे को लगा.
Okay, I was thinking of Australia, but anyway, she just broke into the scene and then was not utilized as much. Like, I feel her case is very similar to Devika Vaidya's. Like, they just broke in and then suddenly, got out of the reckoning. At least in this case, she hasn't been out of the WPL setup. But I'm hoping that, she does get her fair bit of opportunities. But again, like, where does she slot in and where do we see her?
Devika Vaidya इस बार auction में भी नहीं आई ना?
Yeah, list में नहीं थी. I don't think franchises really wanted to go after her. I'm sure she must have registered, but then maybe franchisees weren't interested to go.
To think that she played for India, represented India even after the first season of Bangladesh series and all. Wow, man.
It's a little sad to see her kind of just fall up. Not even be in that pecking order, so to say.
Very
Rooting
true.
for a Devika Vaidya comeback, If any fans in the house are there.
Fingers crossed, definitely always up for it. And cricket.com also asking us, who is Akshata Maheshwari and Sanskriti Gupta? Once again, guys, जो भी हम players के बारे में देखते हैं या सुनते हैं या बोलेंगे, this is all based out of clips, reels, their own Instagram profiles. Yeah. अगर उन्होंने अपना Instagram account private किया है, या if they've chosen for whatever reason not to put up reels, we have no clue. Thankfully, Akshata and Sanskriti Gupta aren't amongst them. Akshata Maheshwari is Akshata, right? Yeah. Akshata Maheshwari is a right arm pacer. She's also batted a bit, at least unke reels ke hisab se, but batting nahi ginte. Primarily a pacer, right arm pacer. Yeah. And Sanskriti Gupta is an all-rounder. She's a left-hand batter and a right-arm off-spinner.
Yes.
जितना संस्कृति का मैंने बैटिंग और bowling दोनों देखा, she looked like a very good package. I'm interested to see more of her. Again, backup option. I don't see them starting necessarily for MI, given their packed top order, but a very handy backup option to have.
Yeah.
Once again, when you think of backups, my mind goes back to Jintimani Kalita. My mind goes back to Umaira Kazi.
Fatima Jaffer, who just wasn't used and let go.
So their primary role will be bat at number 9. एक दो बॉल मिल गया तो बढ़िया. Bowling 0 overs and fielding पूरा 20 ओवर आपको करना है. तो ये आपका रोल है. So उस रोल में आपको ज्यादा कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है, unfortunately. But Sanskriti Gupta is definitely someone to watch out for. जितना देख पाया, she looked very good. Akshata Maheshwari new ball में, मतलब she was getting a lot of movement in the reels. I was able to see interesting action. देखते क्या होता है, like not very pacey. So a very conventional, typical Indian pacer in that sense, but बहुत movement मिल रहा था, maybe more in the mold of Renuka Singh Thakur that way. So देखते हैं उनके साथ भी क्या होता है. So all in all, these were of course the buys made by Mumbai. 4 slot बचे थे, 4 players उन्होंने लिए. So let's see how the 11 shapes up, and if any of these new purchases actually make it to their first 11. I don't think so. At least as things stand.
In all fairness,
Yasika Bhatia will start for them. As much as I'd love to see someone like a Kamalini, make it straight up into the 11.
If she does, she'll be playing out of position.
Exactly. So अभी के लिए तो उनको हमने consider नहीं किया है. Hayley Matthews, Yasika Bhatia, Natsiva Brandt, Meeli Kaur, Harmanpreet Kaur, and Pooja Vastrika. That's your top 6. Add Amanjot Kaur to that. Top 7 वहाँ पे हो जाता है. Number 8 Sajna, number 9 Kirtana Balakrishnan, number 10 Shabnam Ismail, number 11 Saika Ishaq. Off spin, wrist spin, left arm off. Then there's the very, very, very extreme pace of Shabnam Ismail, you've got Pooja Vasrakar, Nat Silverbrandt, Hayley Matthews.
Yeah.
Again, matlab,
Just stacked up with too many options, and Mumbai, that's why it looks like such a good unit. Last season, of course, didn't go their way. They end up third, I mean.
I wonder why. Which was the side, folks, that defeated Mumbai Indians
RCB.
in the eliminator? Just trying to think.
Just not letting our RCB fandom get the better of us.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, Mumbai did have that sort of a squad. But now they look even stronger, with the kind of acquisitions they made, who may not be first choice picks, but can be good backups. But all in all, I think the playing 11 does look fantastic, right? The overseas slots, though, literally picked themselves. They didn't have to tinker a lot with that. I did think Mumbai would have wanted to, go for, say, that one extra pace option thing, but then they just had one overseas slot left. So
Yeah,
they probably
Nadeem
had
Leclerc.
to, yeah.
Is he
Even
okay with it?
Orla, Orla Prendergast going unsold was a little.
I'm happy about it because RCB
Really?
अगले साल आएगी लेके जाएगी. हम ऐसा long term सोच रहे हैं सीधा ऐसा खेलो कि भाई मतलब.
I was thinking if Mumbai got someone like an Orla, it would be great. But yeah, again.
ऐसा गलती से कुछ अच्छा करके नेट्स में impress करके retain कर लिया फिर chance ही नहीं मिलेगा. हम एकदम आगे सोच रहे. So let's hope. RCB of course eventually will get her. Smriti Mandana meanwhile reaching her 50 as well, a 30 ball 50 for her. Happy to see Kamalini being picked for a higher price than I estimated. A very good backup for Yasika as a keeper. Completely agree with you there. Also,
better than Priyanka Bala and all the other options they were considering in the past, right?
And also they are the only side who have an 11 that consists of players that they've purchased previously. Matlab, no new entrants coming in, which is usually a sign of a very balanced setup,
and
of a very solid setup. So core ko zyada tinker nahi kiya, so those are always good signs. Dekhte matlab how exactly will they fare in the future. Sports fan meanwhile also going on to ask us. Before we take that question, guys, please hit the like button. जो भी देख रहे हैं, हमें नहीं पता कितने likes हुए. Producers साहब, please private chat में बता दो how many likes are we at right now. And all of you folks watching on Twitter, please hop on to YouTube. Do us a world of good. Please hit the like button here. We will be talking. We're already one now into the podcast, into the live stream.
Didn't realize.
Exactly. We still have a couple more teams to talk about, and then there's so many other games that have happened international cricket.
Yes.
We will of course get to it in due course, like always. That's a fantastic shot by Smriti Mandana.
Not a watch along.
Thank you.
Actually,
Since we are discussing MI, what happened to Saika Shah? So much buzz after the WPL. Is she out of scheme for the Indian side? You can take this question when you discuss the Indian team. I guess that'll be a better shout. We'll discuss it during the Team India chat. Sportsman, don't worry. We've definitely taken that into account. 20 likes, come on, folks. Yeah, abhi 20 likes. Please, all of you, make sure you hit the like button.
And ensure this conversation reaches to a lot more people.
Exactly.
And that can only happen through likes. So please help us help the algorithm as well. Yeah.
We are here to build a community right now. We are in the process of doing
and
that.
We love the kind of comments you guys have.
Exactly. हमसे ज़्यादा आपको पता है वो दिख रहा है तो इसीलिए हमें भी मजा आता है cover करने में. We have to be on our toes, and that's what that's all we're here for, to be honest. Now, of course, time to talk about the losing finalists, Delhi Capitals. Let's have the squad out first. Again, like most sides, they also had 4 openings in their 11 or in their lineup, not 11. Sorry, they went for the much touted Nandini Kashyap, who went for a grand sum of 10 lakhs. We will talk about that as well. Sarah Bryce, I'm happy with that purchase. We will talk about it. They've also gone for N. Charani and Nikki Prasad, the under-19 skipper, the Indian under-19 skipper. So 4 purchases. Nandini Kashyap, Sarah Bryce, both were understandable, Neha. They wanted a keeper bat, preferably someone who could bat as a floater top order.
And bare minimum upgrade from Tanya Bhatia
exactly.
at this point. So Sarah Bryce does give you that sort of an option.
And I remember bringing that up. Ki Sarah Bryce ko loge to aap middle order, you can free up your middle order for other overseas options. You don't necessarily have to play Alice Capsey. Good to see that purchase. If Sarah Bryce is good enough for WPL, you would want to imagine she's good enough for WPL.
Played for Sydney Sixers and
Hobart Hurricanes, this time around.
Okay.
This time around Hobart, and Catherine Bryce was with Sixers, if I'm not wrong.
Please confirm that.
Please confirm that for us.
I do remember one knock of hers in the season of WPL. And
40 odd, right?
She was striking really well, and it kind of made sense that associate player she would be on the top of the list for a lot of teams to go after. Thanks to the WPL rule of the associate.
Exactly, yeah. And thank you for giving me a good segue. मेरे को याद है Sarah Bryce Hobart के लिए खेली थी because Danny Wyatt played for Hobart, which Also, since we are at the topic of Danny White, I had the pleasure and the opportunity to chat with Danny White. Please do check out the latest episode of Unwind with cricket.com. We spoke for a good half an hour. To be honest, we spoke for much longer. It was a great conversation.
So is it like part one, part two?
नहीं एडिट करके हमें एक ही डालना पड़ता है, काफी कुछ एडिट के बाद भी रखना पड़ता है, बट बहुत मजा आया उनसे बात करके. A very chill person, a very laid back person, but someone who takes the cricket very seriously. Please do check that out if you haven't already. And coming back, of course, thank you so much, Deeksha, for correcting us. It is Catherine Bryce with Hobart Hurricanes and Sarah Bryce with Sixers. So yeah, I stand corrected. You were right.
Besides Ellie's Perry, I don't know who else.
Oh, anyone?
Who else had a good season for Sixers?
Gardner, Eccleston, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But coming back now to, of course, Delhi Capitals, Nandini Kashyap. एक जो 10 लाख क्या लगा, given how much Simran Sheikh went for, given how much Kamalini went for? Surprised with that?
A little bit, honestly. I thought a lot of teams would kind of go after her. I'm sure the scouts did their job in, kind of unearthing her and figuring out how she can, has the potential to be the next big thing. Just look at her stats, right? Senior Women's T20 Trophy, Challenger Trophy, has been brilliant, especially in the Challenger Trophy, playing for Team E. Was one of the leading run getters, if not the leading
number one.
Number one, right? So she was actually playing really well. So I thought a lot more teams would kind of go after her, pursue her, and everything. But good on Delhi, man, to kind of acquire her, and gives you a lot of confidence in case you have an injury, or I don't know, they don't want to play Shafali, which is very unlikely because she's been good for Delhi. But Nandini Kashyap does give you that
Delhi
sort of
team India need tension.
blue. But yeah,
what a shot, yaar.
Yeah.
Risky flick from Richa, but yeah.
But then again, she gives you a lot of confidence, and also being selected for India, and also comes in with that CV as well.
That's true.
So yeah, very excited that she's found a home in. She went unsold and then was purchased in the accident.
No. Directly. Yeah. Pehli
Raghavi Bish ka hua tha,
yeah. Nandini almost went unsold and last में ऐसा दिल यार एक मिनट लगा के देखते क्या होता है, and thankfully.
Because any chatter you see on social media, I think Nandini Kashyap, Raghavi Bish, all of them were
Tejan Hasabnis.
Yeah, all of them were at the top. कि हाँ ये लोग definitely बिकेंगे, and even the kind of culture that Uttarakhand has built,
man,
making them such. I wouldn't go as far as calling them as a powerhouse, but they're really putting in some great performances and challenging the hegemony of railway, so to say. And these players have been instrumental in that. So very excited for Nandini Kashyap.
And once again, you cannot deny the role that a league like the Uttarakhand Premier League would have played.
Yes.
Now it just goes on to show, like, more players this auction, more domestic players from Uttarakhand have been picked compared to traditional powerhouses like Delhi, Delhi, Karnataka state-wise, because Delhi भी नहीं बोलूँगा, Karnataka, Mumbai ऐसे जहाँ पे leagues नहीं है, Tamil Nadu for instance. It's not like Uttarakhand, at least in the men's side of things, is a powerhouse. They are a very good side, but they're not contenders. Yeah, auction में भी हम लोग उतने सारे players वहाँ से आते हुए नहीं देखते compared to some of the other states. So very good on the board as well. Uttarakhand Cricket Association, so UCA मेरे हिसाब से, good on them for ensuring this tournament happened. Thanks to which we saw so many players coming through.
Into the setup, yeah.
It's great to see
Ekta Bish
that.
has also been doing a remarkable job as a skipper. We were talking off record about Anaga Deshpande as well,
That's true,
who
that's
is
true.
kind of mentored the likes of Raghavi Bish and Nandini Kashyap to kind of get them more international cricket ready and put in those performances consistently as well. So massive
yeah, I mean, don't forget, last year Uttarakhand made it to the finals of both the ODI trophy and the T20 trophy.
Eventually they
lost both in both those competitions, but again, point being, they've done succeedingly well or exceedingly well in both those
competitions. And surpassed our expectations.
Yeah, इस बार भी T20s में semis में थे वो शायद, semis में हारे थे, and ODI trophies of course अभी चल रहा है. Yeah, so fingers crossed onwards and upwards for this side, and of course all the players coming through, which includes the likes of Nandini Kashyap, like we said. Sarah Bryce adds a very interesting dimension to the side, because on the one hand, Kashyap is known for her strike rates, for her aggression. I know that last week मैंने कहा था अभी numbers उठा के देखोगे तो Pondi का वो knock था and all, but I must say Challenger Trophy के numbers, the two games particularly against India A, against Arundhati Reddy, I'll once again focus on that, because in both those knocks she scored 50 plus, 96 and one of them 84 or something like that in the other. Both those knocks had Arundhati Reddy in the opposition's ranks. 3 overs 36 in one game, 4 overs 41 in the other. For someone who's in great form, who's been in great recent form. So clearly this girl's got something in her. Baki to of course footage to hardly dekha hai unka, so I won't have any thoughts per
We just
se.
know she played for Team E and was an imperative, component in that victorious campaign as well.
Exactly.
So at least the numbers are giving us good signs. But again, thought a lot of teams will go after. But chalo koi na. At least she found a home in Delhi, a great ecosystem again like Mumbai. So fairly confident that she's in good hands and can be looked at as a long-term prospect as well.
Exactly right, because if you're doing well against the likes of Renuka Singh Thakur, Saima Thakur, Arundhati Reddy, Sneh Rana, Mannat Kashyap, और कोई बचते नहीं है फिर इंडिया में अच्छा करने के लिए. So ठीक है, अगर इनके सामने तुम अच्छा कर पा रहे हो तो you must believe she is one of the better batters available.
And even Challenger Trophy is a upgrade from the senior women's
massive
T20
upgrade.
trophy.
Yeah.
Because you have the best players playing here,
Yep.
divided across those 5 teams. Yeah.
So वो एक देखना पड़ेगा अपने को. Meanwhile, Satyam Singh also going on to say Sneh Rana going unsold was probably the biggest shocker. Ragvi Bush, I think, is the steal of the auction. वो भी हम बात करेंगे. And of course, Diksha going on to say surprising that Delhi didn't get a leggy. They went after a certain Prema Rawat. We will talk about her in detail when we go to the last side.
Pre-auction, though, they let go of Poonam Yadav. The expectations थे कि थोड़े they will go after someone in the auction.
And Prema Rawat के पीछे गए up to 1.1 crores. Again, another Pahadi girl, someone, another person from Uttarakhand. Excellent leg spinner. मेरे को action काफी सही लगा उनका. बहुत control था. जितना भी देख पाया, very solid action, very clean, simple action, very repeatable. Those are, I mean, मतलब जो भी
good signs.
Exactly. So वो अच्छा लगा देख के. So Delhi did go. ऐसा नहीं कहूँगा कि Delhi did not go, but yeah, they should have gone ahead and picked up at least one of them. There were a couple available even in the at the domestic circuit as well. There was I'm forgetting the names. There was Sharanya Gadwal, of course, who's been in great recent form.
उनका नाम शायद इसमें
आया ही नहीं. And then there was Kanchana Sharma, is it? I'm pretty sure I'm getting the surname wrong. Vidarbha के लिए खेलती है. Let me just go through my notes if I have them available. Kanchana Nagwani, yes. Okay. Yeah, so she's also another spinner. जिनका action मेरे को अच्छा लगा था. I'm sorry, मेरे पास the only way to base things off of is action. Because सारे players अपने best performances ही डालेंगे. So जाहिर सी बात है, सब देखे हमें लगा
रहे inferences from
exactly. So it'll be very difficult. But जितना थोड़ा हम देख पाए, there are options available. So maybe Delhi could have gone ahead and picked one or two of them. तो देखना पड़ेगा वहाँ पे.
But they still have, looking at the spin attack too, they have the likes of, say, Jess Johnson.
Yeah, of course.
Alice Capsey also picked the 5-4 in WPL. But not that it merits her to be the next big spinner.
Minu Mani भी है.
Minu Mani also, yeah.
So वो है, but so the way I look at it, it is a good to have and not a must have.
हाँ.
है तो बढ़िया, नहीं है तो you can still construct a good enough squad. Like it's not like Delhi Capitals made use of Poonam Yadav. उनको 2 season में शायद एक मैच मिला था.
Very sparingly used and wasn't helping the
Exactly. तो अगर उनके बिना ये 2 साल एक लेग स्पिनर के बिना फाइनल्स आ पाए तो भाई मतलब ठीक है, मैनेज तो कर सकते हो. So इसीलिए so I'm not very perturbed by it. Yeah, exactly. You can still manage with it. Now, of course, talking about their 11 and what changes can we expect in their 11. Let's have the graphic. There we go. Shefali Verma, Meg Lanning, of course, captaining them. Sarah Bryce, number 3. I've had Sarah Bryce over Nandini Kashyap simply because एक तो Sarah Bryce, of course, वो थोड़ा anchor type batter है. You might probably need one of those given Jemmy, Maizan Cup, Jess Johnson, Annabelle Sutherland. All of them recently have become very flourishing attacking batters. Then you've got Radha Yadav at number 8. There's Minu Mani at number 9. Shikha Pandey.
Really deep.
Arundhati at number 11, who bats at number 5, number 6. He's sometimes even higher up for Kerala. So, given that batting depth,
enviable, very enviable.
ये बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है. Reminds me of Australia कि भाई number 11 पे कौन है, number 10 पे कौन है, सब batting कर रहे हैं. But again, 11 काफी solid लग रहा है. Do you agree with Sarah Bryce? Do you think Nandini Kashyap could potentially bat in number 3?
In all fairness, I think I'll still wait on Nandini Kashyap. Probably give her a few games in the latter stage of the tournament based on how Delhi kind of fares. But Sarah Bryce definitely makes it into that team because it's not like she's occupying, say, an overseas player ka spot. And as I repeat myself, she is definitely an upgrade from Tanya Bhatia, who was probably not used in the best way and, was just put so low in that batting order. So finally, you have a wicketkeeper who is not just a specialist keeper, but will be contributing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to, have Sarah Bryce kind of make the cut above.
And sports fan, of course, rightly asking us, Tita Shadu kahan hai 11 mein? Aap jagah bata do, hum log dal denge. This isn't more of Titash being left out as much as it is Titash not having a spot there. I still think Shikha will start. maybe over the
Look
course
at
of
the kind of season she's had for Brisbane.
exactly. And
WCPL में कितना अच्छा खेली है. So she's a given, guys, to make it into that playing 11.
yeah,
Tita Sadhu का थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा because we recently saw her in the series versus Australia. Just used like here and there. I know that's again a very small sample size that we base our inferences from, but then
good running.
Again, just seeing her transition from under 19 to international has been a little bit
That's
challenging.
true.
We'll just give her some time. Definitely has the potential to lead India's pace attack going ahead. But yeah, at least in this playing 11, maybe she doesn't really find a spot.
I do agree. It will be Shikha and Arundhati starting over Titash. Maybe over the course of the season, if they think one of them isn't working or combination, ये सब के लिए, maybe in places where they think they need an additional pacer, they already have Marizan and Annabelle as well. तो चार हैं उनके पास, so पांचवें पेसर की जरूरत कहीं नहीं पड़ेगी.
Annabelle Sutherland has been doing exceedingly well. Okay. The way she has been bowling, getting you those wickets, is kind of imposing herself across all phases of the innings as well. So she gives a lot of confidence, and yeah.
Marizan का तो है उनको मतलब confidence दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं है, पता है वो है 11 में बस यही
absolutely breathes fire and
exactly
bad ball so much with the bat, right?
Yep. Gun all rounder if there was any. So given that, of course, we wouldn't tinker with the 11 that way. So देखते हैं वहाँ पे क्या होता है. And now Deeksha also going on to say Betty probably won't drop Capsy. In which case, who gets dropped? Jess is the only likely option, right? You would want Annabelle Sutherland given the value she has with the bat and also death me importantly. Death bowling is what they'll be focusing on. Jess Johnson herself is not too bad at the death. Marizan ka to chodo.
I'm just so scared to say this, but I think Meg Lanning is probably the only one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
So Kaptan? Jemmy?
No.
Marizan?
But I'm telling, just looking at Meg Lanning's form for the Stars as well, right? She's really looking like a pale shadow of what she used to be. Obviously, Lanning is going to play for Delhi. There's no doubt about that. Or questioning her, captaincy credentials and everything. But right now, is she looking like that weak link? I mean, she has been the leading run getter for Delhi across seasons as well. So again, not questioning her, so don't come after me. But right now, she just looks like a pale shadow of what she used to be, because we've seen Meg Lanning absolutely dominate, right, across formats.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that.
But I'll be very surprised. Of course, I understand where you're coming from. Logically, yeah, you always want to feel your best 11. जैसे हम रोहित शर्मा के बारे में बात करते हैं, in the test setup and all of that. So that way it makes sense. But of course, Meg Lanning is not going
to be dropped. Definitely not. But even Alice Capsey has had her fair share of ups and downs. Our last episode, we did talk about how she wasn't a part of the T20 side, but then again called back in with Melbourne to, बहुत ऊपर नीचे था.
अच्छा वहाँ पे भी बैटी के साथ ही थी ना ये.
हाँ, Jonathan.
Yeah. अच्छा मतलब I understand वो connection है, but
Jonathan Batty or was it Simon Hill? Okay, हाँ.
She was with the Stars.
No, Lanning, no.
No. Lanning too was with Batty.
हाँ.
Lanning was with Stars.
So
Capsy
was with Renegades.
Then Capsy was not with Batty there. Yeah. So यहाँ पे तो it was it was Lanning. And देखते हैं वहाँ पे क्या होता है फिर. We will have to hold on to our thoughts
because the WNCL is coming up, so
that'll give us a much better indication of where Meg Lanning is at.
Headed, yeah.
But I would still imagine they will somehow make she will somehow be able to get through this season unscathed. But mega auction jab aayega, then that's why they will have a serious chat about who they're looking at, who could potentially be the future leader. Marizan Cup is another name, but again, she's not getting younger. Annabelle Sutherland's a good shout. Yeah. She's captained Meg Lanning at the Stars. Jemmy would be a very obvious choice, Indian and all of that.
Yeah, Jess Johnson, if she constantly makes it to the playing 11, so I think this season is going to be important for her. But really manifesting Meg Lanning to have a strong comeback. I mean, not that in WPL we've seen her be in bad form, but Melbourne Stars ke liye, it was really heart-wrenching to see her go through the motions. Yeah.
But so fair to say, when you agree that Capsy would probably not start for you. Jess Johnson, Annabelle Sutherland, Marizan Cup, Meg Lanning.
Yeah, at least for the starting few games, unless there's like a big crisis they have to solve.
That is true. So वहाँ पे भी देखते हैं क्या होता है. No Meg, no party for DCO. I mean, I do agree with you कि dependence है काफी सारा, but Meg again is a fantastic captain and a road, right?
Yeah, I mean, Shefali Verma has also spoken about the kind of impact she's had, the conversations they've had, how
Jenny's spoken about it,
the synergy they have with batting, and she's a positive influence for that setup. So completely no doubt about that. But again, just looking at her batting side of things, a little tad bit concerned.
But that way tactically again she is very evolved. तो जो value वो add करती है just as an on-field captain, is unparalleled. तो batting में भले ही runs ना दे, she
even
will
this time
still.
for Melbourne Stars, like the captaincy reins were handed over to Annabelle Stars.
वो
We
दिख
didn't
रहा
get
था.
to.
वो दिख रहा था field पे. मतलब मेघला ने कैप्टन नहीं थी, वो दिख रहा था.
Like, I took it personally, like okay, but really missed her as captain for Stars this season.
Yeah, that's true. Meanwhile, Notori is also going on to say a big season for Annabelle. I mean, she's proven in a way. मतलब काफी DC के लिए भी she wasn't too bad. I know she did not really set the stage on fire in the WPL, in the last WPL, but she's not done
maybe
too
because
badly.
Again the expectations are coming from looking at her performance in the 100. Again, in the WPL, so थोड़े बहुत ऊपर नीचे थे, but something. But
international cricket,
for Australia, she's been doing so well. So yeah.
क्यों याद दिलाते हो यार? दिलाओ मत. उड़िया मत दिलाओ. Erased all memories.
We still have to talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, last but not the least, we will have to talk about the defending champions RCB enter the auction with 4 vacant spots. Let's have the squad out first. There you go. They bought 4 players, all of them domestic. सारे overseas slots उन्होंने खल्लास कर दिए थे. Thanks to that Danny White hot streak. Prema Rawat, Joshita, Vijay, Raghavi Bish, Jaghavi Pawar. 4 players bought. What do you make of the buys? And why is RCB winning again, Neha?
I mean, great purchases. Let's start with Prema Rawat. I mean, great leggy. Probably will be used as a backup to see someone like Asha Shobna because unka thoda age and fitness. I mean, not that 32, 33 is too old, but then probably that was the reason they were kind of pursuing. I think when Delhi was kind of going after
that's
Prema,
true.
right?
That's true.
So good to see that there's some research being done at least by either of the RCB teams to get the right kind of.
अरे दोनों कर रहे हैं भाई, मेरे को अभी छोड़ो. Jokes. Yeah.
And Raghavi Bish too, right? Went answered in the first part of the auction and then picked up in the accelerated round.
That's true.
Great to see her kind of get a go. I think again can be a perfect, backup all-rounder sort of a player. Has done well for Uttarakhand. Cannot rave enough about her and the kind of talent that she brings in with age on her side as well. So exciting signs there. And the other picks being
Joshita Vijay, and of course there was also Jaghavi Pawar.
I mean, the little bit we got to see of her, thanks again BCCI, was for Mumbai and was bowling really well.
Highest wicket taker also.
Not highest, I think. But
अभी just हमने बाहर confirm किया, इसीलिए. I don't know. The thing is, I know highest wicket taker. I'm sorry, pardon our ignorance, but I didn't get the time to confirm the tournament, so I don't know T20 trophy. Key highest wicket taker is he नहीं, but I'm assuming it is the T20
one of them.
trophy.
Let's take one of them because guys, it's too much to remember stats, right? But whatever little we got to see of her in that final versus Bengal, she was amazing. Bowling the right kind of length. The commentators were just so happy, to see her get her things right. So Jaghavi Pawar is definitely a very good purchase, and being a part of this RCB ecosystem, I'm very, very excited about what that brings for her. And Joshita Vijay too.
Is it Joshita or Joshita? Just to.
I think it's Joshita. Your Joshita is coming with accent, I think actually.
Avnish Hegde नहीं बैठा, Akshay Kumar Swamy बैठा है. No, I thought because she's from Kerala, right?
I think it's Joshita. But anyways, you guys can confirm that for us.
एक तो proper nouns pronunciation एक तो काम नहीं कर रहा, but ठीक है. We're still trying our best. So Joshita, if you're watching, please first of all hit the like button. पहले like button दबाना, फिर आप बुरा definitely मत मानना. We're more than happy to have you as well over here. So coming to Joshita, of course, my pick of the auction actually is Joshita.
Really?
Very, very happy.
Okay.
I mean, my pick of the auction for RCB, not pick of the auction in general. Guys, again, शायद अगली बार से ना मेरे को एटी जब मैं बात करूंगा ना एक डिस्क्लेमर आना चाहिए. Disclaimer, warning, RCB fan talking. शायद बहुत बाइस दिखे. पहली बार उनको मैंने आज ही देखा है, तो मजे की बात रही है आज दोपहर.
But she's been playing for the under-19.
हाँ, but stream नहीं होता है ना ज्यादा कुछ. आज मैं इनफैक्ट आई हैड बीन हियरिंग अबाउट हर दैट शी इज एक्चुअली अ वेरी गुड पेसर. आज India under-19 versus Pakistan under-19 is where I got to see her first. 4 overs, 2 maidens or 1 maiden, 1 for 13. Great figures. यार उसका action. एक वो, दूसरी क्रांति गौड़. भाई साहब, the action.
Clean action.
And with Joshita, just the way her wrist comes down, the way she holds the ball, the position very straight. It was so good to watch. And the reason I say action and I stress a lot upon it is in men's cricket, given how much it's ingrained and players in general, like men's cricket, given how popular and how much it's played, वो जो coaching और ये सब है ना, it's ingrained. तो बचपन से जिस तरीके से वो ball डालते हैं, आपको पता लगता है
It's
इसको
very
आती है.
conditioned and all.
Exactly, that they have to bring it a certain way, and your arm has to come down a certain way to be able to maximize movement, to be able to maximize your pace and all of that.
Actually nerding on it, yeah.
Yeah, sorry if I'm again, but with women's cricket, that's not necessarily the case, because here
A lot
you're-
of them don't receive like formal coaching right at the start,
Exactly.
and it's a lot of like remodeling and all of that to be done in academies much later, right? Yeah.
so that takes a lot of time, and sometimes you cannot completely remodel your action, because
Yeah, yeah.
तुम अगर 20 साल 25 साल एक तरीके से if you've learned something or if you've done something, you cannot change that all
You
of a
can bring
sudden.
in probably variations, but you lose out on a lot of the pace, trying to remodel the action entirely. That's why we lose a lot of pacers as well.
True.
And you see the domestic system being flooded with so many spinners and all of that.
Exactly.
Again, just us rationalizing, but could be wrong.
Pace, rhythm, there's so many technical adjustments that they have to contend with that it becomes very difficult for them to cope up. But with Joshita, bhai sahab, wo action, it's not something you see often. In fact, again, sorry for falsely equating this to men's cricket, but अगर कोई लड़का भी होता ना इस action के साथ, मैं सीधा लिया, बहुत ही सुंदर action है. For those of you who haven't seen, please go and check out today's highlights. Sony Live, थोड़ा हमें पैसा दे दो, देखो आपको promote कर रहे हैं. Sony Live पे stream कर रहा है. Do check out the highlights and do check out her action and do let us know what you make of it. बहुत ही सुंदर action, very straight. So which means उनको बहुत movement मिलता है, and I'm excited to watch. I'm very excited
because
to watch.
I think after Julan Goswami, India's really faced that sort of a pace crisis, and the selection matters are also not really helping the cause. So when we see, like young pacers coming through the ranks, it gives us a world of confidence. I'm sure even you guys will kind of agree with us on this. Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, comments में भी देखने को मिल रहा है कि people are talking about Joshita there. Samit meanwhile saying, I'm assuming your name is Samit. Samit, do confirm that Samit VK likha hai. Smriti scouts herself for RCB. Then they have Kritika as a scout. There's also Arjun Dev who helps them in scouting. That explains the difference in RCB's IPL and WPL domestic buys. I'm not sure if Arjun Dev is directly associated with the side. He himself is an ardent RCB fan. Yeah. So if he is, then great. Because I know
he often criticizes also, like, some of the things that doesn't work out.
But वो तो जैसे वो बोलता है ना, like, एक अच्छा भक्त वही है जो criticize करे.
Like, keep the people who criticize you closer.
Exactly. You need that. And so that way, I'm happy if someone in the setup is criticizing them. It's always
I'm not sure Smriti is exactly a scout. I think she's playing more of a role of being the eyes. Where does she play domestic cricket that much?
इस बार तो नहीं खेला. Last year, I'm guessing they're referencing this from last year's.
Yeah, like Shriyanka had a one-on-one chat.
Exactly, and she also skipped the WPL to play domestic cricket and all of that. So fair enough. I wouldn't still go as far as to say she's a scout
and all, but yeah, definitely an eye out there.
Agreed. So abhi Shraddha Pokharkar, her coming into the side, it has Smriti written all over that that replacement.
Maharashtra.
Exactly. So given that, fair. But Kritika would have played a big role in terms of making these buys. But and she's only 16 by the way, Joshita, to be clear, under 19 के लिए 16 साल के है. बहुत excited हूँ, मेरे को उन्हें देखना है.
Again, might not make it into that RCB 11.
नहीं, मेरे 11 में.
Okay. So Meenakshi is playing 11, but we'll have to see.
The reason being, again, we've actually struggled to bring in domestic pacers who can complement Renuka. And by that, I mean who can actually get us wickets.
But again, I think it's really unfair to expect your domestic pacers to just get you wickets at the WPL.
अरे लेकिन हम वही ना, अरे ये क्या unfair है?
Unfair,
guys,
it's a lot to expect.
Guys and girls, let me know, is it unfair to expect your domestic pacer to take wickets? Then what are they doing? What are they doing in the side for? चना खाने थोड़ी आ रहे हैं फील्ड पे.
I mean, not like that, but then
I'm not saying 20-30 विकेट लो, एक हाथ तो लो. रेणुका तुम 2 सीजन में 2 विकेट लोगी तो कैसे चलेगा? Don't you think that's also unfair on the fans? कि आप 2 सीजन खेल के 2 विकेट लेती हो.
Yeah, Renuka plays slightly differently for the jerseys.
तो शायद उनको ब्लू जर्सी पहना के यहाँ पे.
Part of RCB jersey is.
Exactly. Oh yeah, next year. So let's hope that actually.
But no, in all seriousness, I'm not saying it's unfair, but I think it's a lot of expectations to put on, say, a young domestic.
That is true.
But let's see how things go about it.
No, that is true. I mean, expectations. Well, I'm not saying she needs to, give us good returns right now. I'm just saying she deserves to be given a shot because we've always struggled to find decent enough partners for Renuka Singh Thakur. Yeah. So first year there was Komal Zanzar. Then there was, of course, Shraddha Pokharkar last year. To some extent, they tried Simran Dilbahar.
Because my concern is the moment you bring in players like this, they don't deliver. What if they just, put back in the setup and not given enough opportunities? Pecking order mein hi na ho and they really fall behind. That's my only concern.
By the way, RCB को जितनी गाली पड़ती है, they have the most number of debutants since the inception of WPL. Kanika Ahuja, Shriyanka Patil, Asha Shobna.
And all of them have come good and
Exactly.
gone on to play for India.
And done well there as well at that level. So इसीलिए थोड़ा तो वहाँ पे मैं credit दूंगा उनको, and I hope Joshita will be the latest amongst that list.
Sensation, yeah.
Yeah. Then there is Ragvi Bisht, and of course we haven't spoken about Prema Rawat.
We spoke about her first, that possibly as a backup
for Asha. Just one thing I wanted to add was jitna unka dekh paya, again strictly sticking or basing this off of her Instagram. She's based in Bareilly. She lives in Bareilly, plays for Uttarakhand, plays of course also played the Uttarakhand Premier League, played for
part of the victorious team,
Mussoorie Titans or
some name like that.
Exactly.
Thoda maaf kar dena for not getting the name right, but aap samajh lena.
Was with Nandini Kashyap, matlab usi side mein thi, and she did well in the final. Yeah, she did well in the final. But मेरे को मजे की बात ये लगी, I was just scrolling through her account and all of that. Her and also to a significant extent Kranti Gaud, the kind of families or the kind of places they come from. So she is a hardcore pahadi. मतलब एकदम like जो भी photos देख पाया, जिस तरीके की जगह से वो आ रही थी, that in itself was very heartwarming यार. मतलब 3-4 साल पहले to think कि कोई ऐसा अचानक से एक
Uttarakhand,
exactly 1.2 crores. It was just great to watch. I'm not just for RCB, I'm saying even other sides picking players. I don't want to indulge in poverty porn for the sake of it. That's an actual thing that others just saying it's good to see such stories coming up. We've always spoken about how it's important that we hear more such stories.
Even Simran Sheikh for that matter, coming from that slum sort of a setup. I didn't want to talk about it and make that the whole
true.
Thing,
But that was great to sort of look at and watch, and hopefully again, fingers crossed, performances.
See a lot more stories like this and performances.
And hopefully the stories will be now only about her performances. Now it's all about performances. So fingers crossed on that as well. Then let's take. There are a lot of comments.
Nice to see that, honestly.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Yes, he is scouting for RCB. Check his Instagram bio. Thank you so much for confirming that, Sumit. She's got pace as well for an 18-year-old. Will only develop from here on. She is. He's talking about Joshita there. Joshita is women's team's Bhuvi, says Santosh.
Okay.
Sorry, producer Saab. I just handled the comments, but it's okay. Chalo, Renuka Didi is out of the 11. Don't worry, 11 pe aate hain, Diksha. Don't get your hopes up straight up. What is Kate Cross doing in RCB? She did not play a single game in the last season. What exactly is it?
Answer this honestly, Akshay. I think we were having a discussion about this and you're like, she's only for the social media.
नहीं वो एंड में बोला था ये मस्त ऐसा बस के नीचे डाल दिया सही है
just kidding, but then I think honestly they're looking at her to kind of mentor the new bowlers coming in. But even Kate Cross, in all fairness, is not like the first choice for England in their T20 setup as well, right? I think recently she was playing the ODI series and she kind of had an injury. Alice Capsey came and finished the rest
third
of
ODI, that's true.
The third ODI, na? So Kate Cross is not that first choice T20 bowler as well, but then RCB ke setup mein, are they looking at her as a mentor sort of a player?
See, अगर mentor चाहिए था तो mentor ही ले लेते उन्हें, तो ये है. But I understand where you're coming from. For me, at least last year, they were just looking at her as a like-for-like replacement for Renuka Singh Thakur, who primarily plies her trade with the new ball. That's essentially how I think they were looking at this. Uske alawa, even I don't know how else can she probably be adding value there. So wo hai. Even I wonder.
Unless one of the overseas players are woefully out of form and the conditions kind of favor having a.
The latter part I agree. मतलब conditions ही ऐसा हो कि एकदम ही भाई movement इतना ज़्यादा कि.
You have to have Kate Cross.
तो वो एक है, but I agree there were like auction में भी देखोगे Lauren Cheadle, Lauren Bell, भाई इतने Laurens ही हैं, 3 Laurens who could.
Darcy Brown, Kim Garth going all unsold, very disappointed.
So that is true. That is true, but even I'm not entirely sure what exactly is the role there. But backup option ही है, first 11 choice नहीं है वहाँ पे. But from what I've heard, apparently there are these off the field factors also that go into तो जैसे social media सबका. I'm not even kidding. ये सुनने को मिला. So you never know यार. You never know how exactly these engagements
auction
work.
Dynamics and everything works.
That also exactly. So you don't know. So maybe they are backing experience. तो वो चेन्नई करे तो सही है क्या वो थोड़ा कुत्ता साडा कुत्ता नहीं थोड़ा कुत्ता टॉमी साडा कुत्ता तो
you get the point.
Experience,
you get the
exactly. Does India have an MRS Pace Foundation for women's players? Notorious, there's just one Pace Foundation, But if I'm not wrong, women's players also go there. I'm not entirely sure.
Few,
though.
I think, but I'm not sure if there's like a full-fledged
Huh.
setup.
There's no
for
separate
women.
foundation, but जो है Chennai में,
A few women. are
girls
part
also
of
go
it.
there, right? Yeah. So there's no separate foundation as such. दोनों एक साथ ही मतलब.
Might be a wise choice to invest in one right now.
हाँ. Agree with
There
you
are a
there.
lot of places coming up. Right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I know India did hold a couple of camps between the England series and the Australia series last year. Troy Cooley was part of the setup.
Overseeing it,
Yeah,
yeah,
as a consultant, I remember them talking about it and all of that. So, yeah, maybe it's high time they do look at it.
True.
Poor Malolan, yeah, no one acknowledges him, whoever we pick. Poor to nahi kahunga, but I get your point.
But yeah, I think scouts are one set of people who really get a lot of criticism directed at them. I think he's been doing a fair job. But then Kritika's role is also very important in that sense because she's someone who really closely follows women's cricket and has been doing her due diligence and blooding a lot of these players into the team. So yeah, credit to her contribution as well. But I think Malo is also doing.
Malo's done a fair job. Like I've always probably been less harsher on him than
really?
the rest.
Okay, wow.
मतलब मैं गाली देता हूँ मतलब see in the moment गाली देता हूँ but I've always maintained that Malu is probably looked at a lot more harshly than he should
a lot of
be.
other scouts.
Yeah, exactly. Like अभी देखोगे उसके like sorry slight digression, not more than 30 seconds. Since he's come into the RCB setup, Padikkal, Shabaz, Rajat Patidar, Akash Deep, Siraj himself for what it's worth. Yash Dayal. So there are enough names you can look at who actually done well and also gone on to represent Team India.
Bill Jacks.
Yeah. Overseas maybe dekhoge. So again, I will cut him some slack, but he get a conversation for another day. What about Shikha Pandey asking us, Ajay Kumar? We will do a Team India discussion. मतलब ये Team India के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे.
Saving our thoughts for that.
Yeah, exactly. If Sophie Molyneux was out of the tournament, then they'll regret keeping Kate Cross and blocking an overseas spot. Diksha, my only point is if every team starts looking at backups, then first 11 choice कौन होगा? Like if you before the tournament ही तुम first 11 like वैसे तो Elise Perry भी injured हो गई तो खत्म बात. Smriti Mandhana injured हो गई तो
we might fall apart a little because Elise Perry is a massive.
Exactly, and that's going to be the case with a lot of teams and a lot of players. Marisan Krab getting injured, so you should have a backup ideally. But given how the squad construction or squad constraints work, there are only 6 overseas spots up for grabs. I do agree with you. Kate Cross probably wasn't the wisest of picks, but ठीक है.
ये season देखते हैं how it goes and RCB can always free up.
दीवाने trophy है बता. Lucky चामी से ही रख लो यार क्या पता.
Yeah, CSK fan playing for RCB.
Yeah. Guys, you see boundary sizes being normalized as international cricket and not being tampered within the upcoming season. अभी पता नहीं यार boundaries तो छोटे हैं in general. चिन्नस्वामी जितना याद है it's not
stadium भी छोटा है.
हाँ, and बहुत ज्यादा अंदर नहीं लाया था last year.
But some of the other stadiums abroad and all, I think it's a lot more. But we should, I think, have a discussion on this probably as an entire.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably
Thank
do.
You for this.
Yeah, we'll keep this in mind, sports fan. We'll probably do an entire episode on this because
we'll have a debate.
Yeah, MCG बहुत बड़ा ground है, तो वहाँ पे makes sense.
You could see like massive gaps.
चिन्नस्वामी है ही 50 मीटर का यार कितना अंदर लाओगे? Like मेरे को याद है DPL में जब वुमेन्स का हुआ था ऐसा लग रहा था 38 सर्कल ही बाउंड्री था पूरा अंदर ला दिया था.
We saw some high scoring games.
Yeah, expectedly because ऐसा टच के छक्का चौका जाएगा. So that was funny, but fair enough. We'll just take one last comment. There was one on So this is Sara who goes on to say agenda for RCB before the auction was to get a backup for Richa Ghosh. They have missed it considering not a great fitness of our girls. They should have picked up a keeper backup.
Keeper backup, right? Yeah, that's why I was looking at someone like Kamilini for RCB, but then they let go of Indrani Roy, which I think again was a little sad. Keeper backup, do we have any in the team?
No, squad में तो कोई नहीं है. Fair shout, I do agree, and in fact Luke Williams had also spoken about this earlier. Was a tad bit surprising because Nandini Kashyap bhi thi, who was a base price pick for Delhi Capitals. There were a couple of other options. Worst case, Indrani Roy को ही तुम वापस ले लेते. I agree.
Bala, Aparna Mondan.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree कि मतलब going or heading into a tournament with just one keeper
might be a little risky.
Yeah, but ठीक है, it's Richa Ghosh, who you would expect to last the tournament, but I do agree it is a risk that they're taking, I guess. So let's hope.
I'm not looking at a lot of games, guys. It's just like what 5 teams.
8 games है भाई, 8 game है.
If you qualify like +2.
Yeah. So वो एक है. So देखते हैं वहाँ पे क्या होता है. Giant meanwhile saying, why do WPL teams have a large chunk of their purse remaining after the auction? apart from UP Warriors, I don't think the other teams have too much money remaining.
But that's because if you have 18 players in your team, you don't need to like. That's the minimum requirement, right? 18 players ki maximum.
18 is.
क्यों पैसा खर्च करेंगे ना उसके
Yeah, 18 is the
Minimum.
maximum.
Maximum.
Yeah.
Then why would they invest? No, if they already have all slots filled up, they will be left with more money.
No, I do agree that paisa like UP Warriors could have easily gone after Deandra Doughton further.
Yeah.
They could have gone more. They didn't. But they were left with 3.4 crores at the end of the auction. And it's not like, it's not like they had to make too many other purchases. Uske alawa, they bought only 2 other players and both were base price picks in Kranti Gad and Arushi Goel. So you could have spent money. You could have easily gotten Deandra Doughton if you wanted to. It almost makes me wonder if they were just hiking the price. Almost makes me wonder. So, pata nahi.
A lot of teams are guilty of actually.
And it is not an optimal way of looking at things. I do agree. Tumhare paas purse diya. Your objective should be to maximize the value from that
best like purchases coming through that.
Exactly. So, wo ek hai. Anyways, coming back, of course, RCB ka 11 bacha hai. We're already 100 minutes into the live stream and finally, hopefully, we'll be done with the WPL chat.
Yeah.
So, the playing 11 for RCB, Danny White opens with Smriti Mandana, Kanika Ojai number 3, Elise Perry number 4, Richa Ghosh number 5, Georgia Warren number 6, Sophie Molyneux, Shreyanka Patil, Asha Shobna, Joshita and Renuka Singh Thakur both feature in the 11. So Diksha, apologies, you thought ki Renuka Singh is missing out. The reason why I have both is basically Sophie Devine isn't a part of the 11. We saw Sophie Devine actually adding a lot of value with the new ball. Given that she isn't there, Joshita will now be able to, fill in.
Hopefully a like for like, if not the same. But
बैट के साथ मतलब बॉल के साथ दूध दे देंगी, बैट के साथ डैनी वाइट देख लेगी. So मेरे को भरोसा है. वैसे भी सोफी डिवाइन ने unfortunately उतना ज्यादा नहीं दिया था बैट के साथ last year.
We're just looking at her performances from the World Cup and all of that.
WPL as well.
Looking slightly on the decline, but again, too good a player to write off. But then.
But this is according to me the strongest 11 for RCB. What do you make of it? New ball ke sath Joshita, Renuka, then you got Shreyanka who's an all-phase bowler in my eyes. Asha Shobna mid overs mein dal sakti hai. Georgia Warren death mein dal sakti hai. Sophie Molyneux, Elise Perry. So I feel it's a good setup, good variety. You've got a slow left arm spinner. No, you don't have a slow left arm spinner, but you've got you've got 2 wrist spinners in Georgia Warren and Asha Shobna. Then you've got Shreyanka Patil for that bit of off spin. Elise Perry. Joshita and of course Renuka in the pace department.
Very comprehensive and well built.
Yeah. So मेरे को तो वही लगता है boss. What do you make? Agree with this more or less?
Yeah, more or less agree with it. Joshita is not my immediate pick for the playing 11, but then considering they let go of say Shraddha Pokarkar, you need that pace option, right? And
But Shraddha ko rakha hai. I thought they let go of her, right?
Yeah, they let go of her, so they obviously needed a pace option, right? In that playing 11. So I'm possibly thinking this could be the best playing 11, but. Excited to see how RCB shapes up because always coming back from, winning a tournament to the next season comes with its own set of pressures, right? Adelaide Strikers looked like some entirely different unit this time, considering, they were going for this 3-peat and all of that. So, yeah, let's see how RCB kind of goes with this new mix.
Low Karna, please dive it up. And of course, Santosh also saying there could be a chance this season. Some games are played at Baroda. Teams might want to stack a bit more on their batting front.
Why Baroda though?
I have no clue. I mean, because of the series happening right now. I mean,
possible.
Santosh, anything that you've heard officially? He also goes on to say with 5 teams in the league, should they directly play a final between the top 2? I feel this format is fine. 2 versus 3 because sometimes 2 and 3 के बीच में बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं होता. So it is important a game तो and it's also important that more teams are in the fray. अगर directly तुम eliminate करवा दोगे तो थोड़ा वो मजा किरकिरा हो जाएगा.
And a fewer games, 1 game, but that still affects us. So we are okay with the format that exists.
मतलब वो भी ठीक है, fair shout कि directly top 2 से करा लो, but ठीक है. I mean, I'm fine with this.
It just alienates the other teams and just makes it about the top 2. And if you have a team like Delhi that's winning all its league stages, you know for sure they're in the final. फिर maybe the.
तो ठीक है, मतलब I'm fine both ways, but ये अच्छा लगता है मेरे को. And I see Kiana Joseph, okay. Please रेणुका देखो पता है क्या करना है. वर्ल्ड कप अगर किसी ने भी उस साइड में भी रद्दी भर का भी एनालिस्ट है ना, उनको पता है फुल नहीं डालना है. प्लीज कृपया करके रेणुका देखो पता है मूव द बॉल अवे फ्रॉम हर स्लिप. प्लीज रेडी रहो. कवर बोलता हूँ, पॉइंट तुम भी रेडी रहो.
टीम इंडिया's new analyst, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry again, not a watch along. Not officially, but inside info says Santosh Urpa. Okay, all right, thank you so much for that. And Meghna doesn't make the 11, asks Jant.
In all fairness, no. I think last season also they were just looking at her as a makeshift option because thoda opening mein dikkat ho raha tha. But I think with Danny Wyatt-Hodge coming into that playing 11, S. Meghna really doesn't make a case for herself. Look at her numbers through senior women's T20 trophy, Challenger trophy, not giving you a lot of I don't know, confidence. Even her numbers in the senior women's one-day trophy that's going on now isn't very inspiring.
Yeah. And वो technique तो मैं पहले ही बोल चुका हूँ, watch alongs आप जाके देख लो. But anyways, काफी लंबा WPL discussion हो चुका है. We will talk about the Team India bit as well before we wrap up. Oh, thank you so much, of course, top eyes. Dotting ho gaya, it is Dottin. Apologies for that. Simran Sheikh, of course, the most expensive by 1.9 crores. Deandra Dottin, 1.7 crores. And of course, Kamalini for 1.6.
Again, these top buys are on the basis of the money or like top
money,
buys?
most expensive buys.
Subject.
ये मतलब हम अपना टॉप बाइज डालेंगे तो फिर से यहाँ पे आ जाएंगे ना, तो इसीलिए fair enough. So anyways, that's that from the WPL bit and what we wanted to discuss, of course. And now it is time to talk about Team India and what they have been doing. First of all, in Australia, बात करना है कि नहीं मैं वो सोच रहा हूँ. अच्छे से ended on a high, ये खत्म करते छोड़ो. टीम इंडिया की बात करनी है.
Let's just briefly have a look at some things.
No, let's talk, of course. Team India, first of all, what did you make of that second and the third ODI? Last week, I guess, when we talked, first ODI ही हुआ था 100 all out. उसके बाद 2 ODIs हुए. कुछ ज्यादा बदलाव नहीं आया. गधों ने जाके एक एक्स्ट्रा स्पिनर डाल दिया. पेसर नहीं लिया.
A lot of questions with the playing 11 itself, right? Let's probably start with that. I mean, Australia is known to be pace-friendly conditions. The fact that you would, go on to give a debut to say a spinner and not play your pacers, and Arundhati Reddy not being used at all in the first 2 ODIs was very, very surprising. Her not making the cut to this West Indies series was again surprising. Inside info tells us that she has been asked to go play for Kerala in the senior women's one-day trophy, which is bizarre because she really did well. Right?
मतलब और क्या प्रूव करना है मेरे को वो समझिए. ऑस्ट्रेलिया के अगेंस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलिया अच्छा करने के बाद तुम अगर किसी को बोलते हो कि हाँ अभी ये अच्छा किया ना, अभी केरला के लिए जाके खेलो.
It's really surprising, and it's tough, man, to be a pace bowler in India. As I think Ananya was also mentioning in one of her tweets that I mean, I don't know what more does Arundhati really need to do to kind of merit her place in that side. India did look like they were coming close to that target in the third ODI, but a lot of the run chase hinged on Smriti Mandhana doing the bulk of run scoring. The moment she got out, you could see the rest of the batting.
I'm sorry.
You could see the rest of the batting kind of just crumble around her, which is a very concerning thing. I mean, I think the series versus Australia did open a Pandora's box of, birth of problems for India to kind of address, because we have the ODI World Cup that's coming up later. I'm sure Akshay also has a lot of points to add about this. But initial observations, that India got a lot of things wrong with their selections, honestly.
Just slight correction. I wouldn't say got a lot of things wrong. I'd probably say got everything wrong. There's nothing that they got right. Nothing. You might imagine, Arundhati लेकिन अच्छा किया ना, लेकिन गधों ने third ODI तक wait भी तो किया, तो it was.
See the opening combination, your number 3, the middle order is all over the place. Richa को तुम ऊपर ला रहे हो, you don't have a finisher.
It was just mind numbing. चल क्या रहा है, open किसे करा रहे हो, middle order में कौन है, bowling में क्या roles है, कौन खेल रहा है. तुम अगर वाका में खेल रहे हो, Waka, which is supposed to be the paciest.
Pacers haven.
Exactly. It's supposed to be the paciest surface on earth. That's how it's called. हम क्या करते हैं? Spinner हटाओ. Minno money. She'll be the difference. Again, no disrespect to her. She played well. She batted well. She was the highest run scorer in the second ODI. But दिमाग लगाओ. गधों दिमाग लगाओ यार. तुम्हें पता है जब पेसर्स के लिए बना है सरफेस, तो तीता शादू क्या कर रही थी? There was Titash available. There was Arundhati, of course, who played. Then Renuka. I was just very bizarre.
It was very appalling that certain decisions were being taken.
And batting maybe, Richa, and the way they applied themselves, just left.
Even Harleen, man, she's really not made a case for herself in the opportunities she has got. I mean, did see a fair bit of her in the senior women's events. Let's just say events, because it's getting annoying to say the whole thing. But again, hasn't inspired a lot of confidence. I think India's number 3 problem just keeps getting bigger and bigger by the day, and is really not giving us a lot of hopes for the World Cup that's coming up later as well.
Like, it's very bizarre, to be honest. Yaar, kya chal raha hai? And out of nowhere, suddenly we get to know Sri Lanka Patil's injured. Then They say Priya Punya, of course, was injured. Yastika Bhatia is injured.
Yeah.
But what about Arundhati? Why isn't that that bit properly addressed?
Even
Nahi pata.
Pooja Vastrakar, not making her presence in either of the
Exactly.
squads, it's just extremely confusing. Like, what is happening behind the scenes? Again, just looking at the composition of the squads chosen for this West Indies tour, I think we'll just briefly touch on that. A lot of new names make their presence here, but then again, you're basing it on like their domestic performance. So why are certain players being given preference and not the others? Why are some being given the longer rope and not the others? So it's just, you don't want a squad selection to be like us asking a lot of questions, no transparency, no accountability, us just making our own inferences and deductions, right? So in that sense, it has been a very, very tough time to be an Indian fan. I hope this T20 gives us some semblance of, that things are going in the right direction. But at least on the ODI front, I know we are in that experimental phase. We have some time to figure out things out before the World Cup. But then how much experimentation is too much experimentation? We need to ask.
जो उन्होंने पहले सीरीज में कर दिया ना, that's already too much. They've already crossed whatever line there is that needs to be crossed. And I remember you last year very cutely saying कि West Indies series तक तो अगर इनका 11 settle हो जाए, इसीलिए बोला ना
Clearly
West
not the
Indies.
case, yeah.
मतलब again experiment करना एक होता है and गधों की तरह इधर उधर भटकना दूसरा होता
When
है.
you give the long rope, if they don't perform, you bring in your changes. Because India again is not in pressure in this ICC Women's Championship. We've already qualified for the World Cup. We're hosting the World Cup, so that isn't like a problem on that front. But again, you just bring in so many players into the mix, not give them enough opportunities. Now I don't know what's going to be India's composition for the West Indies ke ODIs, because again home conditions hai. Tejal was not given opportunities in Australia, which was shocking because she's done so well in the A tour. I know this is me ranting, but then it's really difficult to be objective in the face of such bizarre decision making.
Exactly, right? Because we don't know what the yardstick is. We don't know what the benchmark is.
Absolutely not.
Like, my mind goes back to Kanika Ahuja. She was a part of the setup Asian Games में gold medal जीतने वाली team में हिस्सा भी थी. She got injured. Now she's had a fantastic senior women's ODI trophy. She doesn't make way. Pratika Rawal out of nowhere. मतलब, I know she scored a century in one of the games, but again she's not.
Again, looking at her credentials, it's all coming from the past year, right? She's
Exactly.
done well in under 23 for Delhi. Then plays for Railways now, but again hasn't set the stage on fire. So what is the basis of this
Exactly.
selection?
And same, Shefali Verma has been doing very well at the domestic circuit. So मतलब क्या
I won't be
चाहते हो?
surprised they'll get her back for the West Indies के series ODI.
नहीं ODI squad भी आ गया.
Sorry, for the Ireland.
नहीं मेरे हिसाब से सीधा वर्ल्ड कप में घुसाएंगे कि हम मतलब हम
We trust our old people and the new ones just won't get an opportunity.
And that's the problem. Like we just don't know what exactly are they trying to do. कुछ clarity नहीं है. कुछ मतलब we can't see a direction. So
I think Harman was also asked in one of the pressers about Shefali, and she clearly said, ask the right people the questions about selection.
Who are these right people? आप नहीं हो, ठीक है, अमोल मजूमदार, वो नहीं है नीतू डेविड, वो नहीं तो बच्चा कौन? ऊपर वाला सीधा उन्हीं से मतलब पूछना पड़ेगा क्या कि चल क्या रहा है? It's just very bizarre. Deeksha also meanwhile saying feels like we've gone 5 steps back. It's very sad how we're going, given we have a home World Cup, of course. Harman, the batter, is also on a decline. Sports fans saying, starting from Harman, are we waiting for next year's World Cup to give her a farewell? So I do think that's the case.
Death knell, so to say, for her. Yeah.
And also with that, I understand given that this is going to be an ODI World Cup year, it is too late now to try and make a captaincy switch. So you've already sort of begun this cycle with her, and you've already persisted with her for 3 of the 4 years. Might as well let her see this through and see if something good comes out of it. World Cup के बाद तुम देख लेना, World Cup के पहले. And I feel it'll also create a lot of chaos within the setup.
So close to a World Cup, definitely a bad idea. With I hope they don't change the coach and do a lot of reactionary things like that. Stick to what is there right now. Make the most of the resources. Things don't go well. You have a clear option in Smriti Mandhana who can be a front runner for that captaincy position. But Harman still has a lot to offer. I think at least whatever little glimpses we have seen of her not being able to kind of convert her starts, so to say.
Fair. I do understand that she's not converted her starts, but I agree with you. Ki, she does have. मतलब 8-10 महीने में ऐसा नहीं होगा कि you will unearth another superstar. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि जो भी नई प्लेयर आएगी वो सीधा वर्ल्ड कप में मतलब जाके फोड़ देगी.
Because the Australia series itself, right, gave such a good sneak peek into that. Because if you don't have Harman or Smriti performing, the likes of Jemima and others just crumble, right? They get those starts, they're unable to carry on the innings. And Richa too, right? I mean, she does open for Bengal, but again, opening for India is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, so and that too in Australia against Australia.
Yeah. it's just a lot of questions at this point, and ideally it's a home World Cup, a lot to be celebrating and be cheerful about. But I don't see a lot of reasons right now, unless we get a few of our bare basic minimum things right. Yeah.
Completely agree with all those points there. Meanwhile, Diksha also saying, I don't know if Harman is the one making these calls on the batting order, but since the last T20 World Cup, it seems like people are moving out of their spots to accommodate her, and that's not a great sign. Agreed there as
That's
well.
actually a very good point.
I think we were better off when we were playing without a head coach. Also going on to say Diksha, I mean, I don't know यार, मतलब वो head coach वाली बात तो last week भी हमने बात की थी उस पे. We just we really don't know what to make of this.
I mean, when Amol was appointed, a lot of us were happy that he comes in with a great CV again, a lot of credentials of having done good work with men's cricket teams and all. And we thought thoda accountable honge, but again we see similar patterns kind of creeping in, which I'm sure is not reflective of the team culture and ecosystem, but then begs the question of what more can be done and how can we bring a change in the mindset and all of that. But the Australia series was, I hope, a wake up call, so to say, to the selectors and everyone being
नींद में, बहुत ज्यादा गहरी नींद में, मतलब एकदम वो REM REM sleep बोलते हैं ना, उसके भी तो उठेंगे नहीं इतनी जल्दी. I just don't know what are they waiting for यार, मतलब कब ये समझेंगे. Like, hope, fingers crossed, maybe they will understand this better. I remember having a chat with some of these folks who've been following women's cricket for a while now, like for a good 15-20 years. तो वो तो वही बोले थे कि ये तो रोज का है, ये तो हम पहले
now
से
that people are talking about it, which is great. We have fans who are interested and are asking the right questions, but then we just don't have the answers.
So which is why, so मतलब ठीक है, हम अभी मतलब वो बरसाती मेंढक जैसे भी, let's not react. We will probably, let's take it with a pinch of salt and probably give them a bit more time. रेनो का यार full मत डालो यार, उसके लिए ये full है, ये बहुत लंबी है, देखा जो भी उसके हाथ में वो छक्का ही जाएगा. Anyways, so that's that from the India-Australia chat. We will talk about the ODI squad and all of that next week because abhi T20 series hi chalu hua, so we will hold on to those discussions. Next up, South Africa versus England. Other matches wahan pe chal rahe. South Africa also England successfully winning the ODI series as well. 3-0 T20 series. ODIs were a lot more closely fought.
1-1, and the third ODI had a lot to offer. Right?
Exactly. South Africa were in pole position to win the series, and then out of nowhere there was that partnership between Tammy Beaumont and Amy Jones. They won the series. The test match has begun today. Maya Bushier, her maiden test done. 80 to 90 runs off of it. 86 if I'm not wrong, or 84 if I'm not wrong.
Coming from
boundaries. So fantastic. And Nat Silverbrand became the first ever batter in the history of women's cricket to score a century quicker than runner ball. The previous quickest century.
Really good, honestly.
Exactly. So that was good honor. The previous quickest century, for what it's worth, was from Chamani Seneviratne and full Dalti Gadi.
Not a watch along again, but yeah.
But so again, England have started off very well. South Africa's inexperienced yaar. Matlab, Test cricket में especially, India का भी वो test match आ रहे, they conceded runs in excess of, they conceded at a rate in excess of 4 runs per over. यहाँ पे भी वही हाल है.
It's clearly the inexperience that's showing for South Africa. They do not have a domestic setup for red ball cricket, so I'm not very surprised that they're kind of struggling in the format. I thought home conditions honge, they have the right kind of bowlers, bowling. But then they still have their fair set of challenges. I think Laura Wolf had also spoken in the presser about, we love the format, but we just don't play it enough. So to expect us to, pull off miracles is difficult. But she hopes that, with the way the South African men's team has been doing, they could be possible contenders for that World Test Championship finals. It inspires the girls also to, kind of take up the game and have a lot of red ball cricket. The support just eventually comes along. But South Africa really needs, some more practice matches, which brings me to the point of Bangladesh, recently announcing the domestic red ball tournament. Absolutely did not see that coming.
Zonals wala scene hai na.
Which is still great news. I think Bangladesh might be in contention to, kind of play a series or something in the near future, which is great.
And this auction cycle goes down. This cycle already in the next 5 years, West Indies will be playing a test, Zimbabwe will be playing a test. So South Africa will be playing a lot more tests. Of course, they've already played a couple.
Somewhere New Zealand can accommodate a test.
Yeah,
before
I know
the
Sophie Devine mentioned कि 2 ही दिन से ही बड़े एक test match को खिला दिया.
She's, I think, talking about this on the comms, right?
Exactly, in the India-Australia series. The first ever day-night test is going to happen next month. Of course, Australia versus England. That's in Melbourne. And the first ever test at Lord's is going to happen next Jan, 2026. That's India versus England, if I'm not wrong. So already lots to look forward to that one, the test front. So clearly ICC is pushing this. We also know Jay Shah as BCCI chief also was clearly advocating for more women's test cricket. Now that he's the ICC chief, he's in a much better position to promote this as a global event and not just be India
and
centric.
have more teams come into the test fold, right?
Exactly.
Because today, although the WPL auctions were happening, there were a lot of test match enthusiasts, following up with the South Africa versus England happenings on the other end. So I was just hoping, women's test cricket does get that right kind of support, and we have a lot of competitive matches. I mean,
fingers crossed.
Has set the ball rolling, and with the Ashes coming in as well.
Yeah, completely agree. Ashes के बारे में of course 2-3 हफ्ता बचा तो तब के लिए हम लोग wait करेंगे. To quickly wrap this up, one more bilateral series that ended was the Bangladesh Ireland T20s. Very interesting. You spoke about और competitive हो जाएंगे and all of that. This series was very close. I know the ODIs were 3-0 and the T20s were 3-0. One to Bangladesh, one to Ireland. But the T20
massive credit to Ireland, man. The way they've been playing, I think Orla Prendergast.
With the ball to buy, phenomenal. A 4-4, a 3-4 and 2 3-4s if I'm not wrong, probably.
I mean, just doing so well in the all-round capacity. I was hoping, recency bias to at least अपने WPL teams उन्हें ले लेंगे because I mean, she'd obviously be an overseas quota and not an associate player.
Yeah.
But then a lot of positive for Ireland to take away because coming to foreign conditions and doing that well, a lot to be proud of, and it was a great series in all fairness.
Completely agree with you there, especially some of the batters, the way they played again. Spin, importantly, something I spoke about last week as well. Gaby Lewis, oh man, loved. I've genuinely liked watching her. I hope she, really goes further. Orla ke baare mein baat karte hain. Orla has already played the 100 and of course WBPL भी. Gaby Lewis has been a part of the 100. Let's hope वो भी WBPL and eventually even WPL खेल पाएंगी. She looks very much at ease against spin. That first T20 हमने बात किया था 18 to win of 2 overs. Orla bowls a wicket maiden. Third T20 14 needed of 3. And Laura Delaney delivers 14 needed of 3.
Clutch knock, man. It was a really good one.
And clutch knock, but Bangladesh also really goofed it up. उससे पहले 2 drop catches ये सब हुआ था.
It shows their inexperience, yaar. They're not used to such high pressure situations.
Completely agree.
In a T20 sort of setup. I'm not advocating for a women's BPL. It might be a little far-fetched, but then probably their domestic setup can have a little bit more of push.
Completely agree. See, sides winning is not a reflect. I mean, I would look at this as Ireland winning and not Bangladesh losing. They will still be very happy. There are a lot of positives for Bangladesh to take. Importantly, the intent that they've shown, it was great to watch. Sharman again, definitely a find for them. Shati Rani, if she somehow is able to come back, that's 2 good batters along with Nigar Sultana there, and there's also Sobna Mostari World Cup के टाइम पे उन्होंने भी बहुत अच्छा किया था.
Nigar Sultana Jyoti doing her stuff.
Exactly.
They're building a good core.
Clearly, Marufa Akhtar with the ball. There is
Dilara
Akhtar नहीं अपना
Murshida
Khatun नहीं अरे Rabia Khan. So है options काफी सारे आ रहे हैं वहाँ पे. So good to see them also doing well. Like we discussed, or rather like Danny also mentioned, so guys, do check that out. Subtle plug, unwind with cricket.com. Latest episode with Danny. She spoke about how more than anything, of course, skill levels of players have improved massively in the last few years. Absolutely. But the important fact is that different teams are stepping up. Sri Lanka winning a couple of away tours, their first ever away tours last year, then winning the Asia Cup.
Pakistan winning a couple of tours back in 2023. Exactly. Now their team is going through whatever
these performances go a long way in inspiring the younger ones to take up the sport. Same is the case with West Indies. How many of you saw West Indies playing the semi-final? How many of you thought that the World Cup final would be between South Africa and New Zealand? So, इसीलिए ये सारे results, ये सारे performances go a long way in ensuring that more people take up the sport. And right now the way women's cricket is headed, I'm happy with that. Like the direction it's headed in. Lot more cricket, a lot more teams are playing. That's always good to see. Hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of that.
An expanded T20 World Cup or even an ODI World Cup would be amazing to see.
Fingers
possibly a World Test Championship. But वो बहुत दूर की बात है because we need teams playing Test cricket regularly. But ऐसे seed डाला है.
हाँ, आराम से जाते हैं. And anyways, I guess now it is time for us to also wrap this up. We'll take this last comment. We've already reached it to our mark. It's not something we do often enough. So congratulations, laga nahi hai. I know we've enjoyed conversing with you folks.
And honestly didn't realize the time.
Thanks to all of you. Of course, please make sure to hit the like button and do let us know what do you make of the podcast. Any feedback for us, any thoughts, anything you'd want us to cover. Sports fan, we'll definitely be taking up the topic they mentioned earlier.
There's one point I think on Shikha Pandey and
Shikha Pandey and Deepti Sharma. We'll round this off with these 2 points. Shikha Pandey, the ship has sailed for probably 36. India, I don't think is at this
I
point
mean,
in
the
time.
management clearly doesn't believe in her abilities. They're like, fitness reasons pe select nahi kar rahe hain. I'm not sure I entirely agree with that line of thought because she is someone who has done well, right? I mean, has had her phases where, thode inconsistencies hai, but at one time, Jhulan Goswami and her were the bedrock
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that pace attack. She still has a lot to offer. Brisbane Heat, just go see the performances. This WPL has done more than well, right? Considering India is going through this phase where we're still trying to find our pacers, blood them into this Indian setup. I think she's still someone who can, do the hand holding part of it.
Yep.
Does so well for Goa in the domestic side of things. So, tad bit disappointed Shikha Pandey doesn't get the long rope that, a lot of players are used to. But yeah, I mean, as you said, age is also one of the factors, but entirely dismissing her is, I'm not sure, the right way to go.
But now, as things stand, given that this is a World Cup year, I also would not be a big fan of Shikha Pandey coming in so late.
Okay.
Ek to because Ireland and England, these are the only tours, only two series remaining.
Recognizable.
Exactly. So there's not a lot of game time. 6 ODIs mean you can't even take a call. एक नए player को अगर तुम लाओगे into the setup, they already
That's
have
true.
so many other problems. I don't think they would want to add one more to it. I completely agree that she should feel and she would feel very hardened by, given how she was treated unfairly. But yeah, unfortunately, as things stand, I don't think she is in the reckoning anymore. And by the time the next World Cup ends and they start looking at newer faces, she'll be 37, 38 probably. Yeah, that'll be too late, given that the next World Cup, with ODI World Cup at least, would be in 2029. So what time?
But it's really nice to see her ply her trade in franchise cricket. I hope BCCI continues to give opportunities to these players to continue. I think Diana Edilji, I'm so sorry to go off topic, but Diana Edilji, recently spoke about how the cord should be cut and
I was like,
yeah, I mean, we can't talk about it, right?
We should. I mean, I don't know if now's the right time, but what about the way they performed last week in Australia makes you think that we should cut cords?
Exactly. It honestly didn't make sense. I actually felt outraged that how could you say something like that, because we've seen the world of good that exposure to these foreign leagues have done. I mean, Luke Williams and Smriti Mandana forming the kind of connection they did was because of the 100. Jemima doing well in the WBBL for Brisbane Heat.
No, the network externalities. Like, you cannot tell me that Hemlata would have played if WPL would not have happened and she would have. Exactly. So, ye sari jo the Shikha Pandey coming in, all of these, it happens because those overseas players would see them play or apply their trade here in WPL, and then they would take that back home and think, okay, boss, you know what? She's got the skill that I want, the skill set that I want, and bring them back. So that also helps. So please, for F's sake, do not possibly think that we are at a position where
and we're like, we just won't play the foreign leagues and all of that. Please, that's not the way to go. At least in women's cricket, do not bring in that sort of mindset.
That's a very stupid.
But sorry for going off topic. But Shikha Pandey, yes, I think the time may have run out, but good to see her in.
Completely agree. And lastly, of course, Deepti Sharma, not the greatest of tours, to say the least. Yeah. In the recent past, again, hasn't done too much World Cup. Maybe bad ball, kahin pe bhi zyada nahi kiya tha. But I heard someone saying India should probably look past Deepti Sharma. मैं कहा एक तो she's not old. She seems old because she's been playing for like
16, 17.
Exactly, think, yeah. She's still 25, 26. And bro, मतलब वो दीप्ति शर्मा जो भी है वही है, मतलब उसने किया है.
Yeah. I mean, a few bad performances doesn't mean you just dump a player. But then you'll probably have to see, how is she progressing? At least till the World Cup, let's give her a fair run, because I mean, there have been times, right? She's ensured India has got across the finishing line and all of that. So at least more reputation and credibility keep her in the team. But then probably India has a lot of options they can look at. But till the World Cup, don't go to tinker a lot with the combination unless it is really, really needed. But yeah, we definitely have a lot more questions than answers when it comes to the squad composition for that ODI World Cup.
Uska to dekhna hi padega. We'll have to see, of course, still a good 10 months away from the ODI World Cup. India play the ODIs from the 22nd to the 27th. That's a West Indies series. Then Ireland also next month. That's starting late. I mean, in the second half of Jan. And then in
WPL,
June, there is also the England series ODIs के लिए at least. So 9 more ODIs. Hopefully, कुछ समझ आ जाएगा कि कहाँ पे Team India जा रही है, कहाँ पे दीप्ति शर्मा जा रही है, what role would suit her. I hope they are able to answer these questions in some shape or form. So with that optimism, cautious optimism, one might say so, let us wrap this up. 2 hours and 8 minutes, 128 minutes of us chatting and blabbering. Apologies if you guys, if we did not take a few of your comments and if we did not answer a couple of your questions. Do let us know if you have any feedback for us. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us. Thank you so much for tuning in. All of you folks on Twitter, please do
Jump
hop onto
over, yeah.
YouTube and hit the like button. Subscribe to us if you haven't already. It's a good time from all of us. Opening sting, I mean closing sting nahi hai shayad. Yeah, hai. Thank God.